Hi.
What's up, everybody?
It's me.
Yeah, me.
And
it's Nate. I'm in the house to talk death metal with two of my favorite dudes.
yes,
What up?
Yes, indeed. Yes,
right, calm down.
indeed. Here we are. So we got some death metal picks today. We have a little bit of Cryptopsy None So Vile. We got a little bit of John from The Stirring of the Noose, I believe it's called. And then Gamora's self-titled record. So we got quite a handful of various picks today. It's kind of cool because everything's pretty different from one another, I like to think.
Dude, all these albums fucking rule.
Yeah, I agree.
This is such a good pick for all of us. All of us have good picks. Mm-hmm. I'm fucking stoked. I hope you guys are stoked. It's light outside. I know people might not be able to see that, but that's also interesting and different.
It is light outside. I mean, they'll be able to see it on our end,
yeah,
I think, bright. A little bit. Yeah. But, yeah, brother, man. Got your cattle decap shirt on?
Also, you said no one's going to be able to see that, but yeah. Also,
we have to
put some oil in my beard and everything, man.
Well, everybody...
Nate looks really fucking good right now.
Yeah, everybody who can't see...
nobody could see it.
Yeah, Nate's wearing a sweet Death Atlas cattle decapitation t-shirt.
And yeah, man, it's a souvenir from the show that we did with them at the Metro way back in December of 2019.
Hell yeah, I remember. I was there. Oh, fuck. Yawning already.
Starting hard.
Dude, that's why I asked if it was live. I was like, is Gabe going to call in? I want Gabe to call in. I miss that guy.
I could call Gabe.
Yeah, we could call him. But, yeah, I haven't drinking coffee. I haven't had any caffeine in like over a week now.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, tell me about it. I actually haven't been drinking caffeine for like 3 weeks now. Maybe longer.
I thought you were getting coffee the other day when I called you.
I was going to say, I drink decaf. So I guess maybe that doesn't count as no caffeine. But yeah, I've been drinking decaf now for like probably almost a month, and I've been sleeping way better because of it.
Nice. Good for you, man. Yeah.
What about you? You sleeping better? You also started fucking pumping iron again. So
yeah, I did start pumping iron again. Falling asleep is good, but I'm having a really hard time like not staying asleep like in the morning. Like I'll wake up at I don't know. This past week I've been waking up probably around like anywhere between 6:30 and 8:30. But that's kind of when I'm just like, oh, you know what? Fuck it. I'm up. I'm just going to go to the gym and start pumping some iron again. And I've been back on a fitness regimen and trying to eat healthier. I just bought a bunch of healthy shit at the grocery store. So, yeah, just trying to get back on that groove of like, all right, let's eat good. Let's start working out again. Let's start losing weight again. I already did lose a couple pounds this past week, surprisingly. I don't know how that really happened yet, but it did. I weighed myself butt naked today, and I was like, oh, look at that. You know, I was about, I don't know what it, I mean, I've also been like, I've actually been working on like setting, at least during the week, setting meal times for myself, like literally just being like, I'm going to eat this meal at this time and I'm not fucking around.
Oh,
and
nice.
Like,
that's a good idea.
Yeah. Because I mean, I don't know. I could easily just like go to band practice, like when we jam, not eat anything, get cranky 2 hours in and then get a fuckload of Taco Bell after, which is like, probably not a good idea to eat at like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. So it's
not usually.
Yeah. So for me, it's kind of like, I'm trying to also not like snack at night. I'm trying to just like kind of like have dinner and then be like, all right, that's all you're fucking eating like for the day. That's it. So we'll see how long it lasts. I mean, so far so good, but, the weekends are kind of like my cheat days where it's just kind of like, all right, I'll eat out or like I'll get something to eat and like, yeah, you know, a little bit of venturing out there and then back to the regimen for the week.
Dude, also the riffs we've been working on have been awesome. So
yeah, the riffs we came up with the other day were really cool.
Right.
I was literally thinking I'm glad you took a video of it too, because I barely remember it, but I kind of remember it.
Oh yeah, we can talk about that later. I have some ideas to add on to it also.
Oh, hell yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. I can't wait. Yeah.
I guess that's not why we're here, even though I do love hanging out with you guys and talking about our band.
Yeah. Why are we here, huh?
Oh man, so I was hoping I wouldn't have to go first because I've only been awake for a couple hours. I'm like, I'm groggy.
If you don't want to go first, we can reverse.
The baton.
I could go. I'll go first for you.
You want to? I actually was just complaining. I can still do it.
Up to you, man. It's up to. I mean, I don't mind doing it. I'll go first if you want me to. Yeah, I'll do it.
Fine.
Fuck it. We'll go with my record first. So
how convenient. The guy is supposed to go last. Now I'm going first.
Yeah, right. Look at that. What a
maneuver.
I don't care. It's fine.
I don't care.
So my pick for our death metal records this week was this band called Gomorrah, who,
not to be confused with the other band called Gomorrah.
Yeah, I think there's a few Gomorrahs.
Yeah. Well, when I first looked it up on Spotify, I was like, this doesn't look like the right band. And then I had to look back at our text and be like, oh, it's like GOMORRAH.
Yeah. So they're a Willow Tip band. So they're on Willow Tip Records.
Nice short record.
Yeah, it's only 26 minutes long. Yeah.
Realized it. I was like, it stopped and I was like, oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Fuck. All right.
It's a great short
all
record.
All the albums that we chose, I think, were around a half hour, right? All three of them.
Yeah, just about. Yeah.
And it's so funny you talk about looking up this shit on Spotify, like, because I had the same issue at first. But then I saw the album art. It was just like, oh yeah, this is the fucking band.
Yeah, some lady that's pale on an upside down cross in like the glacial world.
Yeah. Classic.
I love it though. It's fucking very well executed. If I were to just tell you, oh yeah, you know what I want my album cover to be is just like some upside down crucifix that looks like a chick and you like can't really see your pussy and you know you wouldn't think that it'd be as classy looking as it is, but it looks great.
Yeah, it does look cool. And I found this band, I actually believe Adrian showed me to them like about a year ago. I had seen their name floating around, but I never really listened to them. And one day I just I put on a song and I was just like, holy shit, this is pretty fucking nuts. And it's like, it's that kind of death metal, at least that these days I feel like I'm more drawn towards, like at least with like newer death metal bands coming out, because they're not like, I mean, they're definitely not one of those old school revival bands. You know what I mean?
No, it's its own thing.
I think I would call them a technical death metal band, but I don't really know because I feel like they almost...
It's so fast. I mean, the technicality is really just the speed.
It's Hannes in it, right?
Yeah, Hannes plays drums on it.
I feel like defaults them to be technical.
Yeah, to a certain degree. Hannes Grossman from Obscura, Hate Eternal, notoriety, metal fame. He's been doing I'm pretty sure those guys probably just hired him to do it, hired him to do the record, and he knocked it out of the park. The drums sound phenomenal on this thing. But I feel like it's death metal that's very much akin to bands like Nile, bands like Hate Eternal, like that type of influence. Because it is really fast, but it's not exactly like the most shreddy shit there is, which I like.
There's a lot of fun weird moments too.
Yeah.
Hannes Grossman definitely has become, he's probably in the top 3 or 4 for me with death metal drummers with this album. I loved him before, but I love his style of playing, dude. It's so tight.
Yeah, he's great.
I don't know who produced it. I don't know if he produced it because on Spotify, it seems like it's kind of screwed up. Maybe it's just listing the band members, but it gives Hannes and another guy production credit.
Yeah, well, I'm sure Hannes probably, because I know he does his own drum recordings. So maybe he had something to do with that, because he probably produced his own drum tracks because he's got a studio. But yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty sure those dudes are from the States, Gomorrah, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, what is it? I wanted to ask you, Jason, because I didn't really do too much research on this. What is the story? How have I never heard of this band? You know what I mean? Are they a supergroup or they're not? Or
you know what?
Who are the other members?
I don't know. I think they're just some dudes that are from. I should probably take a look at this while I'm speaking about it, but
That's all right.
they are. They're like a band. Hold on, let me type in Gomorrah Metallum. So
while you're doing that, though, I was going to say that I actually feel like it's kind of hard to categorize this band within death metal because they're so modern sounding, but also you know what I mean. I'm assuming it's 7 strings. I guess it could be 8 strings. It sounds like 7-string guitars.
Probably 7. Down
really just ungodly fast at times.
Mm-hmm.
The sound of the record is. I mean, obviously, I'm going to compare this to the other albums. The sound of the record is very much like modern metal, very bright, very in your face. like I said, you know, kind of, I knew Hannes Grossman was playing drums and I heard the snare. I was like, this sounds like the dude is really fucking playing this, but it's so fast and so sick and very punchy and bright. And then I looked at the credits to try to see who recorded it. I'm like, oh, Hannes Grossman probably played drums on this. This is fucking incredible.
Well, they're from Canada. And I honestly like, I don't think any of those guys have done anything else that big. I mean, it looks like even on the Metallum page, there's really not much to link to them other than it looks like a couple of other bands from that area. But to me, they're like that shining example of a band that's kind of like just like a hidden willow tip gem. Like I remember when I was like in high school and in college, like I would just go on Willow Tip just to see what they were putting out. Cause usually 9 times out of 10, it was sick. And,
something you'd like, right?
Yeah. And I think they released this independently and then Willow Tip ended up picking it up and re-releasing it, for them. And I think it's great. I think it's just a really cool record. I love, obviously it sounds like there's some like low tunings because there's some songs where there's like the parts and it's like, it's awesome and it sounds really cool. And the production is, I really like as well. And it's just one of those like hard ass slapping death metal albums where it's just like, oh, this is fun. Like you listen to it and it's very, it's like a very like modern death metal band to me, but I love that. Like, I think it sounds good. And I wish like, I feel like that's not really the type of death metal that gets a lot of attention these days. Unless you're already like a Cattle Decapitation or like a Black Dahlia.
I was just going to say, like they should be on tour with Cattle Decapitation, you know, like, or they should have been. And I just like, I like when I said it was super modern, I think maybe I'm referring a little bit toward more towards like the kind of more ambient like sound design stuff to it.
Sure.
Like I have some notes and I'm like horror movie vibes, but especially the song Ember, which is the opener of the album, and then the song after it, From Earth and Ruins, have like these intros that basically just sound like, you know, it puts you in a horror movie essentially, you know, even though it's like guitar or whatever. Yeah, I mean that's how I felt when I was listening to it, especially the first time. And it's interesting because I listened to the song that you picked first, which I believe is Predatory Reich, which is just like a super ass beater death metal song. I was like, damn, this album is gonna like destroy me, and it did. But then you go and you listen to the first song, and you're like, okay, they're building to this a little bit. You know, it doesn't just go a million miles an hour, hit you in the face right away. The lead tone on this record is something that a lead guitar tone that stood out to me as like super unique. It sounds like whoever the lead guitar player is like doing a lot of neck pickup stuff, but it doesn't sound smooth. It's really interesting. Like I actually was like, oh, the lead tone on here has like a unique character to it, which I love. That I would never use. Like if that was my guitar tone, I'd be like, yeah, this doesn't fit this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that and like, I mean, I don't want to like use the word gent, but I feel like there's like a very small, maybe it's just because it's 7-string and there's some chugging, you know? And the guitars sound very, very bright and in your face, like could be some kind of amp modeler thing. I don't know.
That song Predatory Reich is very aggro. I like that part where it's like like that blast section where he's like accenting like the guitar like notes on the china. It's really, really fucking
that's classic Hannes drumming too. To just like actually basically play the guitar riff while you're blasting. Somehow you're playing the guitar riff on accenting cymbals. I mean, honestly, like it's weird. Like I think my favorite drum part of the whole album is on the last song. What's that song called? Of Ghosts in the Grave. The whole like beginning of it. It's more. It has a more open feel to it. And it's almost like he's just like jamming on the part and then immediately goes into like breakneck blasts, like almost as a fill. It's like a 30-second no blast fill. And you're just like, that's the shit. Most drummers could not pull that off.
Yeah.
Like definitely if you like death metal drums, like you got to listen to that part.
Yeah, definitely. That is a cool intro. Like the drums in that intro. I definitely thought the same thing too. And it's so weird. Cause it's like, I feel like that type of death metal was on the rise and it kind of got like overtaken by the hyper technicality death metal. And then you had like this whole new wave of like these new bands that are trying to sound like old school bands, which is cool if that's your thing, you know? But for me, it was kind of surprising to hear a record like this. Cause when I heard it, which was probably, I know I listened to it on tour, I think sometime last year. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, wow, I haven't heard like a death metal band like this. And it feels like a long time, like something that like modern, but yet not too technical. And like, it's catchy. It's a catchy record. There's parts that like stay stuck in your head. Like the songs are not super long. It's not hard to digest. You know, it's like, it's awesome. Yeah. They made it. It's like 26 minutes, I think is short. The runtime. Yeah. It's very short. I mean,
I'm glad it's not longer.
Yeah, me too. And most death metal albums are like sometimes
used like one more track.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, I thought you would.
A lot of moments where like I would stop and really focus on it because I'm like, ooh, that sounds cool.
Yeah, it's a cool record. Yeah. It's definitely a cool one. I thought you would dig that one.
Yeah, thanks for picking it, man. Definitely, like, thanks for introducing me to it, and you know, obviously, the three of us playing a band together, and I'm like, yeah, we should tour this band if that's ever safe to do again.
Yeah, that would be sweet.
Call them up.
Yeah, I would love to, but I don't know if those guys tour at all. I think it's just two guys, a guitar player and a vocalist, and they hired Hannes to do the drums, and that's
like
it.
Like a studio thing?
Yeah, I think so, because they have some other records too that I haven't heard, but I don't know what those are. I don't know if Hannes even had any part in those ones, and I don't want this to be the Hannes show because I know it's Gomorrah, but you know, like I think that's something worth noting because I mean, and I'm pretty sure they self-released those other records as well. But yeah, they're cool. They got a really cool vibe to them. Just like very sleek sounding, but also angry and low and like, oh man, it's great.
Yeah, the low tuning threw me off for a second. Like I was like, is that happening right now? Like a death metal band? Like what's going on?
It's cool.
Like, all right.
Well, hey man, what Morbid Angel was playing 7 strings in like 1993 or whatever.
Yeah.
It's been a thing for a long time.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I feel like I hear a little bit of Morbid Angel influence in this band. Like little
I would
bit.
agree. Yeah. Way faster, but like it's definitely there.
Yeah.
Speaking of Gabe and Morbid Angel, he heard our last death metal episode and now he's been listening to Morbid Angel.
Nice. Hell yeah, Gabe.
So mission accomplished.
That's funny because I heard his episode that you guys did together and I've been meaning to read some Rambo and I have not yet.
Oh, we gotta get on it.
It's on my
meaning
list.
To watch some Rambo.
The French poet.
Yeah.
Rambo.
Yeah.
I love how well read Gabe is, man. I love it. I really admire that.
Literate, yes.
Yeah.
You know, it's like instead of nerding out on who played drums on whatever obscure death metal album, he was probably getting like a real education in college.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
I was just like getting stoned and listening to Origin every day, being like, how do I do this? Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah, it's challenging, man. But I wonder what his favorite Morbid Angel record is.
He mentioned he was listening to Covenant.
Oh, it's a cool one. Yeah. Cool. So he's David.
I don't know if any of them could top Domination for me, but I haven't really done a deep dive into all their stuff.
Which one did we do?
Domination. Okay. That's the one we did. I like Gateways to Annihilation or Gateways to Annihilation.
It was like the only one I actually listened to.
That one back in the day. Gateways. Yeah, it's a good one.
It's got the drum solo on it.
That's Heretic. Heretic's got the drum solo.
I thought. Okay.
Yeah, with the orange cover.
That's the one.
Yeah.
But I do remember hearing Gateways a good amount because of my bandmates,
like Tom and shit.
No, Jose and Sky. Like,
oh wow.
Yeah, they like that album.
Yeah, duh. That makes sense. So funny.
Not so much Tom. I don't think Tom was like a Morbid Angel guy at all.
Yeah, I'm surprised because I feel like he would like that band.
I don't know. I've never really heard him talk about him.
Sure. Yeah.
Maybe.
So wait, is Gomorrah a super satanic band? I really didn't pay any attention to the lyrics.
I don't know. I don't know much. I don't know much about the lyrics either because the album cover is like a woman on a cross, an upside down cross or something. I don't know what.
Hey, if you show that to your Catholic grandmother, she might be horribly offended.
My grandmother's dead. Thanks a lot, Nate.
Hey man, mine are too. Welcome to the club.
Well, it says on Encyclopedia Metallum, it says their lyrical themes are war and epic battles. So
Asshole wrote that.
Well, yeah, I mean they have a song called The Blade Itself. You know that implies that's like a war, medieval war because nobody uses fucking blades in war anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know. I don't think they are like a super satanic band, but it looks like they don't have a lot of lyrics for a lot of their songs. Like it's like looks like a 2-paragraph per song.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. What were you saying?
The biblical theme. They're called Gomorrah. They have an upside down cross in their album cover. I mean, when I first listened, like I said, when I just listened to Predatory Reich, when you chose this, I was immediately like, oh yeah, it's kind of like everything I wish Behemoth was, because I don't think Behemoth has that much good material. Like, I'm just not really a huge fan.
Wow, damn.
I don't hate them. I just think that like
dropped.
Bogus, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Is that like, I'm not saying like fuck Behemoth, they're terrible. I'm just saying that like I think that they're a really cool band and they've achieved a lot of success, you know, and if you call them like a black metal band or a death metal band. And so they're one of the bands that I'm always going to study in the same way that like I study Trivium. I don't fucking like Trivium, but like, look at how huge that band is. I'm just like, okay, well, they're doing something for somebody. I got to figure this shit out.
Yeah.
And with Behemoth, other than their live show, which I've actually never seen, but I know it's super elaborate, very theatrical, and their, you know, Inferno's an amazing drummer. Like, maybe those songs that come off a little more simple on the record just like crush live. That's kind of what I see.
Sure. Yeah.
And also, I think Nurgle is a really awesome person who's really fascinating, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I want to like Behemoth, but I don't really like them as much, especially not as much as I like this album.
Sure, that's fair. That's a fair assessment. I would definitely say this album has like a big Behemoth influence, like definitely like that demigod era shit, like the apostasy, Evangelion shit. Like, I feel like those have a big influence on this record because you could kind of hear it, you know, just
that's like
stylistically.
the Behemoth, right? Those are like their best albums. I mean, I remember hearing Demigod when it came out, and I think that some of that shit is really cool. I just was turned off by the like triple tracked vocals all the time. I'm like, this is why people hate death metal, you know? 'Cause it's like, it's almost cartoonish at times.
I love it. Tom described it as like a broken leaf blower is what he sounds like.
The vocals, yeah. Yeah. It is wild. It's
so funny.
I remember I loved that's an album I would like to do on this eventually.
That is one of them I do like.
Yeah, but I used to really like
just because of that the big song on there.
Oh yeah, Slave Shall Serve. Yeah.
Like the best Behemoth song ever.
Yeah, so fast. Yeah, I mean, now Behemoth has changed quite a bit. Like, they're stylistically, I think, a lot different and doing less of the modern death metal take and more of kind of this like, I don't know, modern old school black metal rock fusion, somewhat death metal thing. They're just different now, and I respect them. And like, I think the newest couple records are all right. It's nothing that I really like yearn to listen to as much anymore. And honestly, a lot of that old Behemoth stuff at this point, at least in my life, it's more of like a nostalgic thing, I think, than anything. Cause like I was listening to Demigod when I was like 16 and I was young.
Well, Jason, can I make a recommendation for you?
Sure.
I guess for anybody else that wants to know more about Behemoth, because I recently listened to an episode of Rob Flynn's podcast. I think it's called No Fucks Given or something.
Okay.
Or NFG. Or no, it's No Fucking Regrets. That's what it is. Sorry.
No
very
fucking
similar
regrets.
title.
Yeah.
With Nurgle as the guest, and Nurgle pretty much just talks the entire time. Like, I'm not a huge fan of Rob Flynn, but I mean, it's mostly Nurgle just talking for hours, and he talks about the early days of the band and like how they got big and how difficult it was for them when they were experiencing success in Europe, you know, and had to kind of come over to the US and do all these tours. And like a little bit of it is, you know, look at Machine Head and Behemoth and how huge they are. And they're complaining about touring in a van, but it's also really fascinating to hear like the you know, because he grew up kind of in like right after, you know, communism was not a thing in Poland anymore, right after they left the Soviet Union.
Oh, okay. And
he talks about like the super, super early days of, I'm going on a huge tangent here, but basically like his first band that he started when he was a teenager, like no one had a drum set. They would like get buckets and like cut the buckets, and like his dad would help him like construct like a fake makeshift drum set. And it just makes me feel like such a fucking jerk growing up in the States and having parents who can just buy you things. I'm like, yeah, like, it's interesting because it illustrates the amount of drive that he had and that they had in the early days.
Yeah, that really paid off.
Just to play music for the sake of doing it, and they're a success story. So
they're a huge success story. I mean, they're one of the biggest death metal bands like of all time right now. I feel like
they're like massive. Right?
Yeah, they're huge. Yeah. They do stadium. They're that death metal band that's like ascended to.
Nurgle's like a celebrity, isn't he? In like Poland,
like,
yeah. Like he's in tabloids and shit. Like he's like huge,
big time,
so
and
crazy.
Like, I mean,
you'll never
like,
see that here.
they definitely entered the stadium realm in the U.S. like for sure. I mean, if they're like headlining, they'll probably headline like the House of Blues. I think that's what they did on their last headliner. But
I really wish I saw that band live
ever.
Earlier. Yeah, ever.
Oh, yeah.
But earlier.
I
Weren't
saw
they on Slayer's? They were on Slayer's last tour,
They
right?
were. Yep, they were the opening band. So,
or one of their last tour, the first part, because obviously they weren't on. You know, I saw Slayer at Riot Fest last year. You know, and they were not on Riot Fest.
Sure. Yeah.
It would have been sick. I would have loved it if they were.
Yeah, it would have been sick if Behemoth was on Riot Fest. I would definitely.
That'd be actually
I would want to watch them. Yeah. See, and if I got to see any blast beats being played at Riot Fest, I would be like, all right.
All right, you're not bad, Riot
No,
Fest.
I'm trying to think. So last year was definitely a more metal Riot Fest. But it was mostly because of that tour. It's like Anthrax and Testament both played, but they were on that Slayer tour.
Yeah.
I don't know if I saw any blast beats. I didn't see every band, but
you probably saw Gene Hoglan playing with Testament, right?
Dude, I heard it. It sucked because I was working and it was so funny. I was waiting side stage, like probably, 300 yards or more, like very, very, very far away on a stage, waiting for a band to start playing. Cause I was working for the photographers and they would only be allowed to take pictures for like the first song or whatever. And I could hear Testament from afar. And I was like, fuck, I knew that I wasn't going to get to see it. I didn't get to see any of them up close, I guess is my point.
Sure.
I was super fucking bummed because I like that band a lot. They always crush it live. I love
Testament?
Alex Skolnick lead playing. Yeah. And to see Gene Hoglan, like I could have walked up. I'm assuming they're not one of the bands that had like their own security. I could have walked up like next to him if I wanted to, if it had worked out time.
Probably.
I didn't really have too many celebrity run-ins that last year when I was working. I did see Steve, who plays in Cephalic Carnage.
Oh,
I didn't say anything to him because I think he was front of house for the Flaming Lips or something. He's like a huge high profile live sound engineer now.
Oh, wow.
And I saw him and I was like, was that the dude? Fuck, I should have said something. Anyway, we're not talking about Gomorrah at all.
Yeah, we got very, very sidetracked. That's okay. Yeah, I mean, I really don't know. I have a lot to say about this band because I don't know much about them. Like,
they're mysterious.
Yeah, they do seem like one of those more mysterious bands, but it's cool, man. It's a cool record. I mean,
it was a fun one.
Yeah, if you guys dig it, if you've heard it, if you haven't heard it, I'd recommend it. If you're into shit like Behemoth and all those more modern sounding death metal bands, I think you'll find that you dig it. And yeah, I thought it would be a cool one for this episode, kind of change it up a little bit, And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say.
I love that you exposed me to it. Seriously. I mean, I really will probably continue to listen to it and maybe be inspired by it, honestly,
Hell yeah, man.
When did this album come out?
I want to say it was either last year or 2018.
Okay.
2019 is what Spotify says.
Yeah, 2019. It looks like it came out March 22nd.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, Predatory Reich, great song. I also think For Those of Eld is another good song. One of my favorites on that. Because they have this weird section where the guitars just go like, and there's blasts underneath it the whole time. It's just.
So you're saying we should do that?
Yeah, of course. But it's cool. It's cool. It's just cool because it's like they do a lot of cool shit where it's like, whoa, like, it kind of catches your attention.
Stuff that you normally wouldn't hear too much. A band like that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's why I said when I was listening to it, like I would stop and like really focus and be like, oh, what's going on there?
Yeah. It's attention grabbing,
Mm-hmm.
It's very interesting.
One thing that I will say is I feel like the vocals were kind of like, they're definitely not bad at all. Like I didn't find anything that I disliked about them, but I also was kind of like, do I love this vocalist? Like what's going on here? I don't know. How did you guys feel about the vocals?
I thought they were all right. I think he's a good vocalist. Like it wasn't anything that was like mind blowing to me, but I think it fits the style very well.
I don't remember anything sticking out bad.
Yeah, just a dude. He sounds like he's got a very standard because he's usually doing lows most of the time. I mean, there are a couple highs on there, but even those sound good to me. Yeah,
this is another one.
It kind of just.
I'm on video.
I know. I feel like it floats. Like the vocals just kind of float with the music well. Like it's not really like anything that's like I'm really paying attention to.
There's enough going on. You know? I mean, it could almost be instrumental probably.
Oh yeah,
like, this is great.
There's some cool riffs on the record too. A lot of cool ones.
Yeah, I mean the guitar playing. That's actually something I didn't mention that much. I just talked about the leads. So I don't know if anybody listening to this has listened to Roman Ring or listen to my other band, Immortal Bird.
Probably not.
On the Immortal Bird album, I do a lot of the pick scrapes, like harmonic pick scrapes that I totally stole from. You could say I stole it from Gojira or like from Megadeth, like way back in the day.
Sure.
There's some really awesome riffs that incorporate the pick scrapes on this record.
Yeah.
Like not in like a too over the top cheesy way, which like maybe that's what Gojira would be or whatever. That's kind of their thing. But some really interesting, like kind of like super heavy and that like sound. Yeah. But not too much of it. So
yeah,
definitely. I don't know. I noticed that anytime any band uses that technique in a riff, I'm super hyper aware of it now because I'm constantly waiting to be called out by somebody to be like, yo, man, you got to stop ripping off Gojira.
Oh, man, how many fucking bands do that shit, though? There's like 1,000,
I know.
dude.
And it was like specifically, yeah, I mean, I don't need to get into specific songs, I guess, but there's definitely like, yeah, there's moments where I do it and I'm like, I don't know if this is cool. And my bandmates were just like, dude, that's the shit. You gotta do that more.
It's cool. So. It's okay to do those things, man. There's nothing wrong with that.
It is. It feels like a crutch, though, at times. It's like how pinch harmonics were like when I first discovered Killswitch Engage or something.
Hey, watch it, Buster. This is not the metalcore episode. This is the death metal episode. I'm just kidding. We like our pinch harmonics here at this table, damn it!
Yeah, pinch harmonics are thick, dude. Red chord. I think about red chord and I think about pinch harmonics.
There you go. They got cool ones.
They got some cool
ones. God. I got to pick a red chord album one of these days.
Yeah, I agree. That would be a fun one.
Pick that one.
Is that death metal or is that more metalcore?
I think I would pass it for honestly either or. Yeah. I'd pass it for either or, honestly.
We'll do it. We'll do it for both.
Yeah, fuck it, why not?
That'd be awesome.
What'd you say you do? Fed Through the Teeth Machine?
Well, that's just the first one that came to mind.
Okay.
Their last album that they did.
We could just do a Red Chord episode.
We could.
Just talk about 3 Red Chord albums.
I love that first one so much.
I'd probably pick Pray for Eyes.
Well, there's an idea. I mean, I would. Yes. I guess.
Oh, you heard it here.
For next death metal.
Yeah, but it'll be weeks from now, so
everybody will forget by it.
Or like,
Greg
Weeks.
Greg Weeks from now. Yeah, we'll. Shitty pun. Greg Weeks is for those who don't know, Greg Weeks is the bass player of the Red Chord. But
dude, I had a really fun conversation with him one time when the Red Chord played at House of Blues. I think they were touring on Pray for Eyes. I mean, I saw that band so many times. They were like my favorite live band for a while. And I was talking to Mike, aka Gunface, about he does this thing where he screams into the guitar pickup.
Oh yeah.
Which like occasionally I'll do that live just to like fuck with people. I haven't done it in a show in years, but I thought that he was playing with his teeth, and I asked him about it, and I was like, yo, like, does that like fuck up your teeth when you do that? Like, just being an idiot kid or whatever. And Greg was there also, and he was like, oh yeah, I guess you could. And like his wife is like a dental assistant, and we ended up talking about that. And I was just like, man, dudes the Red Chord are like really fucking cool. I like talking to them about even not their band. Like I did talk to to Mike about the guitar tone and shit, but I also was like, oh, I'm talking to this dude about how he's married to someone who is a dental assistant. Maybe I'll be married to a dental assistant someday. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oof.
Not going there today.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
Sorry, Jason. That was unplanned.
Yeah. No comment. I'll say that.
Moving
no comment.
On.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say about Gomorrah?
Oh, that hurt.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I know you didn't mean it, but Nate's sitting there like, oh, great. That makes me feel great.
It's like, we're going down this hole. We're going down this hole.
Nobody knows. It's okay.
Dick. All right. Any last words about Gomorrah?
About Gomorrah? Not really. I think it's a cool record. Check it out. It's on Willow Tip. I don't even have a CD copy of it, but if you do, show us a picture of it. Is it cool? Are there a lot of notes and lyric booklets? What's going on? Let me know. Huh?
Tell us the liner notes.
Yeah. Read them to us, please. But
leave it in a comment.
Yeah. Oh, I'm stinging, man. That hurt. All right.
I'm sorry.
Hold it together.
I blame Greg Weeks.
Technical difficulties.
No, it's okay. It's getting better. Things are getting better.
It's Greg Weeks' fault. So,
yeah,
what's
fuck
next?
you, Greg
We
Weeks.
fucked up the order here.
So yours is next.
So
John
he's going last?
Yeah, because we switched. Or do you want to go next?
What do you want to do, Nate? You're our guest.
I'll go next.
All right.
Let's
Looks like
let's
you
do
came
it.
out on top, huh?
Motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna be banned from this podcast before you know it. But
Like we're gonna
before
be
that
needing a new
happens,
co-host.
Too
for
late,
death
end it.
metal.
Yeah.
wait, shit! I think I need to crack another beer before I start talking.
What are we
Crack
drinking?
it
What
in
are
the
we
mic.
drinking today? Is that old
So,
National?
you know, I usually drink the White Claw. I don't really need to hold it up because I guess no one can see me. But this is a beer called Level Par. It's made by Sketchbook Brewing, and based out of Evanston, Illinois.
Yeah.
I believe it was some kind of promotional partnership initially with a golf course in Evanston. I don't know. It's that's why it's called Level Par.
Yeah.
Pretty drinkable. I initially started this off with a different one of their beers, the Honey Bird, which is an ale brewed with honey and Thai basil.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm out of White Claws, and
Ooh.
you know what? I'm not pissed about it because this beer's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
For those that can't see, Nate was actually lying and is drinking Natty Ice. Go on.
Dude, I got nothing to get. You know what? I couldn't say the last time I had a Natty Ice. That was one of my grandma's favorite beers. May she
Really?
rest in peace. Thanks for bringing that up.
God, we're just
Yeah.
shitting
Yeah,
on each
everybody's
other all over
hearts
the
are getting
place.
broken on this show.
Worst episode ever.
Oh my God.
Nothing's for
Yeah.
no one.
We got to
Then-
do it in the evening. Maybe we just getting fucked up by it being daylight. I don't know.
Who knows, man? Who fucking knows, dude?
All right, I got to introduce this album. It really needs no introduction if you're a huge death metal fan. It's called None So Vile by the Legends Cryptopsy.
Oh yeah.
This album
Good
for
currency.
me, man, this is really near and dear to my heart because it's one of the albums that I heard when I was a teenager, when I was just kind of getting my feet, dipping my toes into the death
Really?
metal world. Yeah, totally. I think so. I did actually reach out to my stepbrother Alex. Shout out to him if he's listening. I think he might have played this for me, but I'm actually not sure. It was either Alex, my stepbrother, or James Yellen, my great friend who played in Small Town Murder with me, that introduced me to this record. And it was similar to the first time I heard Hate Eternal in the sense that I could feel the energy. It's so like blistering and abrasive. But I was like, do I like this? I think I like this, but I can't really tell what's going on. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And it just made me want to listen more and more and more. And I think going back and listening to it again for this podcast, I really realized that like this is one of those albums that was super influential on me and my guitar playing and songwriting in every band that I've been in, but I never realized it. If you ask me about my influences, like especially writing death metal, they're not going to be in the top 10 even. I'm not going to
Sure.
go, oh yeah, I listen to, but it's because at least in my music listening life, especially in my youth, I kind of just was like, okay, that album's amazing. But I never really latched onto Cryptopsy as one of my favorite bands. Like, I mean, I listened to a little bit of Whisper Supremacy, which is the album after this.
Hell yeah. That's my favorite.
Yeah, kind of just going through their catalog for this podcast. And I was floored by it. I was like, oh my God, why didn't I listen to this when I was a teenager?
Yeah,
I mean,
dude.
I don't know if I like the vocals as much on Whisper Supremacy. We can get to that later. But yeah, it's definitely a logical continuation of the band, of the riffs and the drums.
Sure.
And I mean, I could see for a lot of people this being a polarizing record, especially if you're like as snobby as I am about musicianship and stuff, because it's just so primal and it's got kind of a raw quality to it, albeit it probably wasn't considered to be a raw sounding album in the 90s. It came out in 96, actually July 3rd, which is a significant date to me for a couple reasons. One of which was when the Infected, a band I was in, broke up. It was the Infected broke up on July 3rd, 2013.
Oh no.
It's okay. We had a reunion show. We're all good friends. It's no big deal. No one cares. But I remembered it when I read it on the Wikipedia or whatever. Uh-huh. And yeah, I mean, I think for the time, the production is actually not super raw and crazy. It was probably done on tape because it was 96. And it just, I don't know. It just captures the intensity of like, we're just going to fucking play as fast as we fucking can. And I think a great example of that is I think it maybe was the single. One of my favorite songs on the record is called Phobophile.
Yep, it's a big one.
Let's see, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's the 6th song, I think.
Yeah.
But if you go, like that one, it has like a sweet, as Jason would call it, a powdered wig intro. It's just like a nice classical piano intro.
I would call that a powdered wig intro because it definitely is.
Yeah, totally. And it builds to this like super, super fast part. And if you're a Cryptopsy fan, I mean, I at least back in the day even was a fan enough to get into their live album, None So Live.
Really?
And they do a version of it where it's even faster. There's a riff. I have it in my notes. It's right around 1 minute and 30 seconds. It's super fast on the record, but if you listen to the live version, it's like, holy shit, these dudes are on fucking fire.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that was recorded in 2002 or 2003.
None So Live? Yeah, I think you're right. Was Lord Worm on
weird.
that too?
It's weird because I was just going to say it's actually really, really strange because it's not Lord Worm doing the vocals. I mean, it's not like they played the whole album front to back on None So Live. It's a bunch of their stuff. It's not Lord Worm. I want to say his name is
Mike. Is it
LaCroix? Something LaCroix?
Martin LaCroix. Yeah, Martin LaCroix.
Or Lacroix, maybe is how they say it because they're French.
Yeah, Martin LaCroix.
That's another thing.
He was the only dude on this. That's the only thing he ever did with them was this None So Live.
So
that's weird.
It's different for sure. And but yeah, if you just like the drums and the guitars, you're just like, oh my God, I didn't think these guys could get any fucking faster. I mean, it really is. It's something else.
Yeah.
Going for it, man. I love that. That being said, I think that if you're being super elitist about this, and like I think I actually fell on the other side of this, going through Cryptopsy's discography. I think Lord Worm not Lord Worm. I gotta edit that out. Flo Mournier, I think is how you say his last name, is he's got great feel. He's a little sloppy, especially at super high tempos. But like it's who cares? It's got his feet are always tight. Like so I had some trouble when I was going through the discography getting into the more modern records when you can clearly tell that there's quantization going on in the drums and it just sounds fucking perfect. And I'm like, this sounds great. This sounds like crushing death metal, kind of complements the riffs, but it doesn't sound like Flow. It doesn't sound like what I think. When I think of Cryptopsy, I always think of None So Vile. And by the way, I don't know if I mentioned that it's their second album. I tried to listen to Blasphemy Made Flesh. That shit sounds fuking terrible.
The first album? Yeah, it's pretty rough.
Is it?
Yeah.
Just to like the recording quality and the production. I mean, it sounds like I believe that was 93 or 95.
I'll tell you.
That's crazy.
It was that was 1994.
Okay.
Yeah, Blasphemy was in 94.
That album is only for the hardcore fans. Like, it sounds like it was mixed by like the bass player. It's like there's so much bass and so much China cymbal, and you're just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But
sounds awesome.
Yeah, man. I just love this record, and I kind of had to like scold myself for not listening to it in probably years. It's been years since I checked it out. And
yeah. I will say,
I mean, like I said, can't say enough about it.
I mean, if you count Cryptopsy as old school death metal, they're like they should be an institution by this point because they're an incredible band. I mean,
thinking about it, I was like, if you had like the Mount Rushmore of like death metal, it's like Cryptopsy, like 6 Feet Under.
6 Feet Under?
Yeah,
6 Feet Under. What the hell?
Like death metal bands have been around forever.
I would say Cannibal Corpse.
Yeah,
there we go.
And what was the one we were just talking about?
Suffocation, Morbid Angel.
Morbid Angel would be another one.
I would if my Mount Rushmore, I would probably do Suffocation.
I'm trying to think of the ones I remember growing up and everybody telling me to check out, and I never did, and this is one of them.
Suffocation for the New York style, like Suffocation for that East Coast vibe. I'd go Morbid Angel for the Florida vibe. Yeah. I'd even throw Cannibal. I'd even throw in Cannibal Corpse with there because it's like you can't. Yeah, and then Cryptopsy because
where's Cryptopsy from?
Canada. They're a Canadian
Montreal.
band. Yeah, they are. Fun fact: I actually met Matt, the current singer of Cryptopsy, when we played in Montreal, and he loves the Warforged record.
No shit.
Yeah, he's
That's
like
awesome.
a big
That's
fan.
awesome.
I took a picture with him and I made this post about it and everything. And like, yeah, he does a podcast. He does a podcast. It's called Vox and Hops. Talks about beer. Talks about that shit. He was like, oh, I wish I could have had you guys on. I just didn't time it right. So next time we're in Canada, we might be on that show, which would be sweet. But Cryptopsy.
You hit him up. You could probably Skype in.
Cryptopsy is another one of those bands that has had. They're one of those like innumerable member changes. Like it's just so many different people in the band. Flo, the drummer.
Really?
Flo is like the one consistent member that's been in the band the whole time. Yeah, so it's interesting that you say that because None So Vile is like, to me, that's like the first record I could think of at least that was so fucking like just hyper speed aggression and like dirty ass shit. It's just like, it's a crazy fucking record. And
I
like,
imagine considering it came out so long ago, like probably wasn't a lot that sounded like that.
I'm sure there wasn't. Yeah, and it's just like there's so much. I mean, that record it's like, this is None So Vile is the Cryptopsy record. Like if you ask people, most of the time they're going to be like None So Vile. It doesn't get much better than that.
I've heard that name so many times.
You got Lord Worm, and the reason they call him Lord Worm is because he fucking used to eat worms on stage. There's videos you could look up of him on YouTube doing it where he eats live worms. There's actually
Where's he now?
You know what? He was playing in a band. I don't know if he's even still doing it anymore. I could try and check it out. It was called like Warfather. No, give me 1 second. I'll find it.
I mean, I know that he initially. So this actually was their last record with him, or it's their second album until
Once Was Not.
Yeah, until Once Was Not, which was
my introduction.
So it's like there's like a 10-year gap. Yeah, but he initially quit the band for health reasons, is what at least I read. I don't know what that means. And that could mean
left Cryptopsy after the None So Vile tour to become an English teacher, ESL teacher for adults, but returned in November 2003. However, he left the band again in April 2007 for health reasons.
Interesting.
So, that reminds me of something else that I read about the None So Live record is that dude Lacroix wasn't asked to like be on an album because he didn't speak English well.
Really?
He didn't speak English well enough to write the lyrics. That's what it says on Wikipedia.
Well,
weird.
I'm a big fan of the Mike DeSalvo. I believe that's his name, Mike DeSalvo. The records that he did with this band.
He joined on Whisper Supremacy.
Yeah, he did that, and he was on And Then You'll Beg. And I think those two records are like criminally underrated Cryptopsy records. Like I would definitely pick Whisper Supremacy if it was my call, but I actually ended up getting into this band because I had heard their name everywhere, and I was like, all right, Cryptopsy, fuck it, I'm going to check it out. I went to...
You're a drummer, too, so I imagine a lot of drummers like, you got to check out Flo.
Oh, yeah. He was one of the first, like, blasters that I was like, okay, what is it about? And I bought Once Was Not at Metal Haven when that was on...
Oh, rest in peace, Metal Haven.
Yeah,
dude.
It was the second incantation, which I believe was on... it was on, like, Devon and... No, it was on Damon Damon and something.
Was it like Lawrence and Damon area?
Something like that. Yeah. Damon and Foster or Damon and Lawrence. Yeah. Right around there. It's not far from where I live now. It wasn't far from
I went. That's where I bought my physical copy of Cabinet. I was like fucking so stoked to get a CD copy of it.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. And I found Once Was Not and I was like, fuck it, I'll check it out. But at the time I just didn't get it. I was like, this is shit. Cause that album's pretty crazy too. Once Was Not, very fast shit. And it kind of just, a lot of that shit flew over my head where I was just like, what am I fucking listening to? I don't know if I'm ready for this yet. But going back, I went back and listened to, like, that was like a big LimeWire band for me where it was like you download LimeWire and then you would just kind of like download various songs. What I used to try to do was I used to try to find every single song that was on the album and put the albums together. So I'd be like, oh, I got the whole album. And I think I did that with Whisper Supremacy and probably None So Vile as well. But None So Vile, like, this was I can't even tell you the first time the last time I listened to it front to back. It's been years. But yeah, it's interesting you say that because Flo definitely has, like, I love the guy. I think he's a phenomenal drummer. I've met him once or twice and he's always like a super nice dude. Great player, very original dude. He's like, there's nobody that plays death metal like that guy does. I think personally, like I could pick him out from even on the newer shit. Like he's got those weird flow blasts and just like these weird, like these like weird,
dude,
like
that's the best part. Yeah, those groove so hard.
And
it's not when he's blasting a million miles an hour. It's when he's doing like the hammer blast, like faster than most people can do it, and it's like tight.
Yeah, like, oh, shit. Yeah, he's a great drummer, man, and I don't really know too much about the lineage of the other members. I know that they've had a lot of people in and out because, like you said, Lord Worm, this was his last record with them. He left. I know that he worked with the band on Whisper Supremacy on some of the lyrics and shit like that. But Whisper Supremacy is more of, I don't want to take away from None So Vile so much, but like, you know,
we should talk about it because I mean, it was a pivotal moment for the band. I mean, obviously None So Vile had critical acclaim.
Yeah.
then they got a new vocalist, and DeSalvo, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
And he was,
and it sounds totally fucking different.
Completely different.
Not close.
Yeah, he's almost like a hardcore vocalist.
Like a dog barking most of the time.
No,
which,
he's
like,
a lot.
me up so bad. Like, damn, they got a German Shepherd on this one. All right.
He's a lot more. He's a lot more like
a hardcore, like a guy yelling more.
Almost, kind of. I mean, he definitely screams, but it definitely added like this new flavor to the band because Whisper Supremacy had like breakdowns on it, kind of, and had these like more like almost like hate breed sounding parts, kind of, which I think was probably like an American influence on them at the time because that was their third record. But
what year would that have been?
Whisper Supremacy, I want to say was 98, but yeah, 98. And then You'll Beg.
Yeah, it's the record right after this one. But I mean, it really like I didn't even bring up the vocals on None So Vile. Like Lord Worm definitely has a style on this album that I feel like would never fly today.
No,
like, it's very primal. It doesn't even sound like he's saying fucking words.
Yeah, it just sounds like an animal.
Noises, yeah. That's why I say it's like a fucking dog.
Yeah, like his vocals on Once Was Not are definitely a little bit more discernible, but he is I like the guy. I like his presence and like the idea of Lord Worm. But as a vocalist on paper, I still wrestle with it. I definitely enjoyed his vocals on None So Vile because they are so like weird, just like insane. Yeah. But,
you can't understand a word. And he does a bunch of inhales too. And it's hard to even tell when he's doing inhales. Like you're just like, this guy's like in his fucking corner, just like grunting really hard over this music,
just freaking
like
out.
in time.
Yeah.
Which is another. Yeah, like I said, it wouldn't fly today, but it sort of fits the era. I mean, they recorded this at the end of 1995. So think about like where death metal was. The Bulls had only won 3 championships. I was a fucking child. I think my parents were probably about to get divorced.
Yeah.
Maybe if I had heard this album when it came out, it would have made that easier. Who knows?
Yeah, the divorce process. Yeah.
Oh, my parents' divorce was
so vile.
Yeah. But like, man, I think overall the experience of re-listening this album just made me realize like how much I have slept on all the other Cryptopsy records. Like,
really, they have great albums, man.
Going through their discography, like listening to their stuff with Matt, like it's really fucking good.
Yeah.
And honestly, so I have to mention one thing because this was bugging me too when I chose this album and I realized that I have to present it to you guys. I was like, okay. So I've only really seen modern Cryptopsy.
Sure, me too.
There was definitely a chance for me to see them doing, I think that tour that they did, None So Vile in its entirety, came through Chicago when I was still in high school. And I fucking didn't go. And I'm so pissed about it.
Yeah.
But so I've really only seen the modern version with Matt doing vocals and only one guitar. And so my thing as a guitar player, obviously I'm going to fixate on that. I'm like, wait, isn't Cryptopsy a 2-guitar player band? So I went down that rabbit hole a bit.
Of course.
And I realized that like back in the day, they had a touring guitar player named Miguel Roy. He was a guy who was like, they had a second guitar player.
But if he's Canadian, it's pronounced Wah. You should know that. The famous hockey goalie, dude.
You know what? That's so awesome that you bring that up. One, because my French is terrible, and I was going to go through and try to name all these people that have been in this band. But when I was doing that, I was like, oh, this guy's Spanish or something because his name is Miguel, so I'm just going to say Roy.
that's
but
weird. Yeah,
it probably is Wah. You're totally fucking right.
I think it is. Yeah. So what about this Miguel fella, huh?
Well, so I was just always confused because I'd seen Modern Cryptopsy and it was always one guitar player live.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this sounds dumb. Like when you're playing solos like the way they do. And by the way, I do want to mention.
Oh yeah.
Oh God,
I hate the solos on the record.
On this record?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. You hate him? Okay. Well, I was going to give a special shout out to John Levasseur. There's my shitty French pronunciation of his name. Because he wrote, he's credited as like being one of the main writers of all this shit. But also, I had always heard those solos as like, kind of like jammy, kind of like, okay, you just like played a bunch of random notes. Like that's basically what I do most of the time. I know how it goes. But they're actually completely composed.
Uh-huh.
Really?
Which is mind-blowing to me. Yeah, Bill, that dude composed all those. They're like little bursts. They're not long a lot of the time, but it's just like, oh yeah, you play that 100%, all those notes every time. That's so cool.
Wow. Yeah, those solos are rough. To me, they're rough, man. I'm just like, what is going on here? Like,
I like it,
yeah,
but it's
I like it too.
It's distinct. it's distinctive. You know, it's like
Yeah.
It's a unique sound, and I think at this point in lead guitar playing, I kind of value that more than like maybe it's just from listening to too much kind of like melodic death metal and thrash metal, like where a lot of the solos kind of follow the same formula and have like similar techniques. You know, sometimes you got your sweeps, sometimes you got your melodic lines with sick vibrato, sometimes you got like your little scale runs. I mean, this is like so far away from that.
Yeah. Yeah, it
so
is
unconventional. So I think there's some charm to it, but I wouldn't be like, yo, dude, John Levasseur is my favorite lead player. Speaking of that, though, I do have to mention a little tidbit is that Dan Mongrain played live in this band for a while. And I'm like, damn, that would have been fucking insane.
Yeah. Daniel Mongrain from Martyr. Infamous
and
technical
Voivod.
death metal band. Yeah, now Voivod. Yeah, he's been in Voivod.
And it's so crazy. I did not plan this at all, but I think I mentioned this just to you, Jason.
Yeah, you wanted to pick a Martyr album,
actually,
right?
Really, I wanted to pick a Martyr album for this podcast, but they're not on streaming services.
Yeah, that
Spotify.
sucks. That's such a fucking
what label
shame.
are they on?
They were on like a weird Canadian subsidiary label. I'm trying to forget what I used to. Man, if this was me like 7 years ago, I'd be like, this label. Yeah, but I don't.
Also, shout out to our wonderful friend Danny. Because I always think of the way that he first pronounced that name to me.
Martyr?
Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Did he really?
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not that surprised.
Yeah, I think he called them Martyr to me at some point. They were on
damn
Galley Records, which was a Canadian label, because Martyr was a Martyr. I first heard Martyr. This is kind of nuts. So shout out. I'm sure he's not listening, but like,
I don't think he listens
shout
to the
out
show.
Marco Kubo. Back when I got into Vela Maya, I saw like on the influences section of their MySpace page they had Martyr. I was like, huh, who is that? And then I listened to him and I was like, oh my god.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I found a bunch of bands
Dude.
like that.
Influences, that was like your cred on MySpace.
I know. Yeah, we always
Right.
had the most
Like,
cred shit, dude.
The band that nobody else knows
man.
about.
Yeah.
I think like Small Town Murder on our MySpace, we put like Discordance Axis as like an
Nice.
influence.
Oh wow.
Because we wanted to like mix it up. It was like we like Unearth and like the Plexheimer, but we also like Discordance Axis. And I was just like, I'm pretty sure only one member of this band listens to that band, and I kind of have a couple times.
Yeah.
It was very
Big
much
influence,
like
man.
Yeah, like we should have put. I mean, I was all about throwing in the classic metal because for me, that's kind of what got me into metal, like Metallica, Iron Maiden kind of thing.
Fuck that, man. Everybody knows who those bands are.
Fuck that, man.
Yeah, but if you're like a metalcore, deathcore ish band or whatever, and you put Iron Maiden on your fucking influences, I felt like that was cred. That was like my thing.
Oh, really?
But there was also like I remember the Faceless. The Faceless had a bunch of bands that like at the time I'd never heard of. One of which was Extol. One of which was Aeon. Extol, actually, I've still barely listened to, but the stuff that I've heard is like amazing.
Yeah, you should give that band a listen, man.
We could maybe do one of their albums in the future, but like they're a Christian band too.
They are.
And back in the day, I was so like anti-Christian band.
Me too.
Like now, I just don't care. I would listen to a Christian band and be like, well, I don't agree with their fucking religion.
Yeah, but it doesn't. Yeah, exactly. I was the
like,
same thing
really
for me,
agree
man.
with, like worshiping Satan.
Yeah,
but. It's like, why worship anything? But the whole MySpace cred thing. Like, Bill, did you do that too?
No, because like Capsize is a bunch of idiots, and we just put like dumb shit on there because we didn't give a fuck. We were that band, you know.
So I feel like Tom and Jack are definitely those types of dudes. So that would be like
we could have,
yeah,
and that we definitely had the guys to do it, but
sure,
we were like, nah, we're not gonna be that band.
yeah, that's fair.
We're always those assholes,
dude. I found Spawn of Possession on Veil Maya's on their influences.
Yes, me too.
That's awesome.
I think that's how I found out about that band.
That's the first, and I heard Noctambulant, and I was just like, what? Like, boom, head explosion.
But, Mark was always a good resource. Like even like he was really smart about death metal and was into like really cool shit. Always.
Yeah. I remember finding Spastic Inc. on there, which isn't even really a death metal band, but still, like he was into a lot of cool shit.
That dude. I mean, I haven't seen him or talked to him in years now, but he always had like really good taste in music, specifically metal.
I agree. I hope he's doing good, man. I've always liked him. Every time he's talked to me, he's always been a super sick guy, like very sweet, remembers who I am, like. I like him.
Yeah, he's one of those dudes I've always heard like nothing but like good things.
Yeah. What'd you say?
So who could forget you, man?
Yeah,
plenty of people.
No one can.
Well, can. I hope not, but people have tried. I will just say that people have tried. So
That's
I don't
fair.
know, but yeah. But anyway, back to Cryptopsy. And what a sick name, Cryptopsy. It just sounds like topsy-turvy to me, and then but in a crypt, and it's like,
Oh, dude.
it sounds like how that band, like the name fits the band so well. It's just like, and I just imagine like you're robbing like a grave, and you're like,
For those of you who can't see, Nate's vaping.
oh, are you hitting that weed?
I like
Mr.
looked
Photo
over.
Weed
I see
has-
this little
Dude, I've
blue
already
light
hit
on
it
his
once. You guys didn't notice the first
No.
time.
No, I didn't. Let's put on Bone Thugs, dude.
I'm not on video, so it doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
As we
at
roll,
least
smoking on
now
Nando.
now people know.
Anyway, so Cryptopsy, like that name to me, it's just like it reminds me if you were to like go into like rob a grave, but instead of robbing the grave, you just did a bunch of like sick hanging out moves with like the dead skeleton. Like you played cards with it, like you're having a party, topsy turvy, man. You're drinking margaritas.
I mean, my friends used to
Cryptopsy.
do that growing up. Like they were just drinking graveyards.
Yeah, but like, were they digging people up?
Nah.
Yeah, exactly.
They almost got crushed by like a mausoleum stone.
Well, that's why they weren't in Cryptopsy.
They
But,
could have been.
Anyway, yeah, so they had Mike DeSalvo. So I ended up getting into Cryptopsy. I remember the first time I saw them, it was Summer Slaughter 2008, and Cryptopsy was in the shitter. They had put out this album, which I still like to this day, called The Unspoken Kingdom. And it was their first record with their current vocalist, Matt McGachy, I believe is how you pronounce his last name.
What a bevy of weird names.
but the
that have
thing
come and
is-
gone with this band.
Yeah.
Well, they're French.
French,
Right.
French
Well, they're,
Canada.
they're from
Yeah,
Montreal.
French Canada, French Canadians.
Canada's.
Yeah, French Canadians. But anyway, so they put out this album, The Unspoken Kingdom, and it had keyboards on it. There was clean singing on it. People
What?
detested it. It was their first
Weird.
record that kind of had modern, like a really modern production
Okay.
take on it. And I heard it and I like didn't understand why people didn't like it. I was like, why don't people like this? And I had known who they were and I had known who they were before. And I'm like, all right, so this band is, but all these old school death metal guys were like, this band is gay. And
Yeah,
like,
they're
they're
gonna
doing
wait for their
clean
roots.
vocals,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
because
Ugh,
this
God.
is 2008 too.
God
So keep
forbid.
in mind the times.
Yeah.
But people were, it was just like insane. It was like this band like got completely written off. And like people, I remember when I saw them at Summer Slaughter 2008, people were booing them on stage. And it
Jeez.
sucked. Yeah, and Matt McGachy was just like, fuck you guys. We're about to play this sick ass set. And they did. They crushed it.
I'm sure they
And I just
did.
remember being like, man, why do people not like this? And I remember I like wouldn't tell my friends that I liked that album.
You were like ashamed of it.
Yeah, but then
What?
eventually I
So
was,
funny.
yeah, dude. But I think it's a great record. Like, in my opinion, I think that they have a really good discography. Like almost everything holds up pretty well. But yeah, it's crazy. So they had this big falling out. Like all these people didn't, not the band itself, but
Like their fans,
with their fans. Yeah, people wrote off that band. And then they kind of came back on this swing of technical death metal to kind of where they're at now. They did a self-titled record with Matt, which took out the clean vocals, was much more back to that like Cryptopsy style,
That album's
super
awesome.
fast. Yeah, it's a
I
great
listened to it for
album.
the first time recently.
Did you really? That song 2 Pound Torch
Yeah.
is great. But
I didn't get through the whole album. I was just kind of doing a dig, and I was like, let me check out their discography, and I definitely checked that one out. I mean, you guys know they have a greatest hits record. I thought that was kind of lame.
I do. Yeah. I don't
Like,
know.
I'm like, come
Kinda
on.
funny.
I mean, I don't know. I think greatest hits albums are a lame cash grab from anybody on any level. So the idea of like doing it for this underground death metal band is just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I don't
It might
know.
have been to get out of a contract.
The best of it was a Century Media record. It was that's exactly what it was just to get him
Oh,
out of a
really?
contract. Yeah, I believe
that's
so
they
because
usually why that stuff happens.
Oh, that's kind of then I retract. I mean, it's as a fan, not the coolest thing.
yeah,
but
it's a Century. I don't think it was their
Yeah.
choice, but they did include there are new songs on that compilation record, which I believe are B-sides from the Cryptopsy record. But there's some good songs on there, man. Like
have you guys listened to Matt's podcast? I like it. It's kind of a short and sweet thing.
I've
where
listened to it a
he's,
few
like,
times. Yeah, I've listened to it a few
it's
times.
really cool. Like I would love to be on it, but I'm not a vocalist, so I don't think I would ever.
Yeah.
Even if I was in a band that was on his radar, he probably
Mhm.
wouldn't want to talk to me. But I love beer, and like I think it's really cute that like he's always drinking. Like I don't know how well you guys know this, but like you can't get most American beers in Canada and vice versa.
Sure.
So it's like he's talking about Canadian craft beer that like I'll never be able to taste. I'll never unless I
Unless you
take
get up
notes
there.
and go back to Montreal. I mean, I've been to Montreal a couple times. It's great. The people there are lovely. I would love to live there, man. But
Yeah, I
You can't
agree.
even
It's a very
leave.
cool,
Can't
very
even-
cool spot.
can't even go into Canada.
But
shout out to Foofs, dude. What is it? Foofs?
Fufu Electronique or whatever. Fufu Electronique.
Oh, dude, I don't think I can get that one. I never got it, but apparently people just call it Foofs.
That venue's sick though. Climb all those stairs. Load in all those stairs.
I feel like we had help or something though. Didn't they have loaders when you guys played?
Probably.
They definitely had loaders when we played.
Oh, they did not have loaders when we played. I'll tell you that much.
Damn.
Oh, dude, we definitely. I'm pretty sure we didn't carry all of our.
Talk about a workout, dude. That is like now I could probably do it a lot better than before, but
yeah, you have to like park in this alley behind the venue, and then like if you're carrying something heavy, doesn't have wheels, you have to walk pretty far to get to the door, and then it's up a couple flights of stairs.
It's fucking wild, man.
But if you have enough people, like I said, I'm pretty sure either. Yeah, I don't think it was the other bands, because that was actually like a show that Mortal Bird did with that band Cadaver.
Oh,
really,
yeah.
Interesting band from Germany that is nothing like us. Very like stoner rock, like vintage. Like they look like they're straight out of 1968.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
They were so fucking cool to hang out with though. Just like, to be talking to somebody from the other side of the world.
Yeah,
they're from Germany, and to be like, they were like, oh, we were very tight, like I don't think they would watch us or care, because we were, essentially like the opener for their big show in Montreal.
Yeah. I mean, we played. That's where I met Matt. Was at Foofs. I met Matt. I met a couple other guys from. I mean, there were dudes from. I remember when we played it. There were dudes from Beneath the Massacre that were at the show. There was dudes from Augury who were at the show who I got to meet there. And that was a band I loved like in high school. That would be a cool band to do on this episode. Yeah, maybe I'll do that next time.
Remember that name.
Yeah, they're cool. Very progressive death metal in the vein of like Obscura type stuff.
Yeah, I think that was a Tom band.
Yeah, probably. They're awesome. Yeah, that would be a cool record. Maybe I'll do that next time. Fragmentary Evidence. That was a great record that I loved by them at the time. But it's wild. It's like these guys are here to see your band, and it's just like,
yeah,
I mean, probably not to see us, but like somebody on the bill. But yeah, there was like
that rules.
Yeah, it was insane. Yeah, and it was Montreal, so like a bunch of people were there, and like that was like one of the first shows that I've ever played where I'm just like, whoa, this is like insane, like shit. But anyway. Cryptopsy. So now they've been doing this thing.
It's good that we're talking about Montreal, though. I mean, they're
they don't
they
get
were the
enough
first
of
French Canadian death metal band that I heard of, and there's a shitload of them that are amazing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they're Cryptopsy is I mean, and that's true. Montreal, that's the hotbed of like all the sick shit in Canada. You know what I mean? Despised Icon, fucking Beneath the Massacre. Yeah, I believe so. Dissonance, Cryptopsy. Martyr. Quo Vadis, if you guys remember that band.
Yes, dude.
That would be a cool band to do on this.
I mean, Voivod is the obvious one that you didn't mention.
Yeah, Voivod, obviously. A ton. I mean, it's like that was like when everybody's like, yo, the sick bands are coming from Canada. Bam. Most of the time I feel like it was around the Montreal area. But anyway, I mean, I know Cryptopsy now is not under contract through any label. They've been doing this thing where they've been releasing like EPs over the last few years. The Book of Suffering, Tome 1, and I think Tome 2 came out a couple years ago.
Talk to TK, see if he'll sign him up.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know if they're even looking, man, because they did some crowdfunding, I think, for some stuff, and yeah, I mean they still. I'm just glad that they're still touring. They're still not now, but they're still an active band. And actually, one of their guitar players now is a dude named Christian Donaldson. And Christian Donaldson runs the Grid studio in Montreal, I believe, in Canada. I don't know if it's in Montreal exactly, but the Grid is where Beneath the Massacre tracks their records, where Despised Icon has tracked records. He's done like so many Canadian bands and productions, and he's got
seen some videos of that place.
Yeah, he's got some very, very like pristine sounding stuff. And I believe Cryptopsy tracked that self-titled record and the Book of Suffering there because he's in the band now with them. And our friends, when we toured with Cognitive last year, they had a fill-in vocalist, my boy RJ. If you're listening, shout out RJ. Hope you're doing well. His band Alica from Maryland actually went up to Montreal to track their record with Christian Donaldson. And it sounds fucking awesome. It sounds so good.
When are we going, Jason? We're next to this Roman Reigns shit that we're.
I would love to, man. That would be a great place to track like our record. I would love to do that. But
let's make it happen.
Yeah,
start budgeting.
Yeah, we'll start budgeting. But yeah, he's got
we'll
some.
Have to start saving.
He's got some great production stuff. Like I believe he did. He's done a ton of stuff. You could look it up on Encyclopedia Metallum. It'll tell you everything. But yeah, it's just like it's cool. I mean, I'm kind of glad that Cryptopsy is getting the light of day now. I mean, at least more after coming back from that 2008 record, because they did totally enter this world of technical death metal now, where like Nate was saying, it's a lot more pristine and quantized and shit. But I like that with them, and I think I would hope the effect of that would make people want to listen. You know, if they're listening to them now, maybe want to listen to their older stuff, because it's like you could hear it. Like you could listen to a record like None So Vile, and then you could come back to their newer shit and be like, oh, I get it. These are the same. You know, this is the same band. And I always wondered about, you know, how much of a songwriting influence Flo actually does. I think he writes a lot of the music in that band, because it is pretty much his band at this point. And we actually saw them. You remember that, Nate? When we saw them,
I was going to bring that up. Wasn't it in Joliet? I think I've seen them twice.
It was Crest Hill.
Yeah.
What?
Sorry, that's next to Joliet.
Yeah, we drove down there.
Dude.
You didn't come, I don't think, but I drove Franco, Danny, and Nate, and I was trying to get you to come, and you were like, nope.
Nah.
It was Cryptopsy.
Was it the same show that Psychroptic was on?
No, it was Cryptopsy.
Same venue.
It was Disgorge. It was Cryptopsy, Disgorge, this band called Arimha, who was a black metal band, and then Surreption. Yeah, it was those bands. And
there's a band I need to see live again. Surreption. Yeah. We got cheated, man. We got cheated by the Kempers.
I know. Remember that? Is Kemper like shit out?
Oh, that was that show.
Yeah.
I remember hearing about that. Yeah.
Dude, I remember somebody, I feel like I was in the vicinity of this conversation. Somebody asked the guitar player, maybe I actually asked him, and I was just a little intoxicated and I don't remember, like, about what was going on with this Kemper. And he was just like, yeah, man, we can't fly with real amps. Like, I'm just dealing with this shit.
Yeah.
He was very, like, matter of fact about it. I don't think it was me. I don't think I would have said that. But
well, I remember
like,
some of the Kaisis dudes were at that show, and we were hanging out with. I remember I was standing next to Kenny when we were watching it, and Kenny just immediately looked at me, like named me. Like obviously, I don't know when an amp goes wrong. I don't know what's up with it, but Kenny knew right away. He was like, oh, like that dude didn't have a power. It was like something with like the power wasn't enough to power it or something like that.
I think it was like a bad connection.
Huh?
I think it was just a bad connection with the electricity.
Yeah. So his amp was shitting out on him at that time.
Well,
that was when that dude Anton was still in the band. That guitar player's not in the band anymore, I don't believe.
Because of that shit.
It was like
because of a show in Bada Brew.
It was an older Kemper.
Yeah.
I don't know
Set up the electrical.
Some shithole town. Yeah.
Bill, did the Kempers still take like 30 seconds to boot up? I don't even know.
To boot up, it takes about 20 to 30 seconds. I don't know. I'm not sure. It does take a minute.
So that was what was happening to the dude. And this was like fucking, I don't know, 6 years ago or something.
Fuck.
So it might have been an older model even. And it would just like short out.
Oh, they're
and he'd be freaking out, and then he'd get the power going again, and it would just cut out, and then it would take another 30 seconds to start
back up.
Yeah, it was rough.
That sucks, dude.
Yeah, that was
one of the reasons why I never trusted him. But yours has obviously been rock solid as
so far. So good.
I remember there's this kid that I used to know from down there. I hope he's doing well. His name's Tim Larkin, really funny guy, and he was at that show. We were watching it. We were watching Disgorge, which is like real heavy shit. Like I'll do one of their records on here for sure at some point. Real heavy shit. Yeah, they're nasty live, dude. And like their vocalist would just like shout out shit in the middle of the songs to get people going. But you couldn't really understand any of it. And I remember there was one point he just said something that was like, blah, blah, blah. And then my friend just looked at me. He was like, fuck you, Bill. I was like, is that what he said? And he was like, I don't know. He's like, it kind of sounded like it though. Yeah.
That's awesome.
But yeah. I mean, this record, None So Vile, is just so much fun, man. Phobophile is probably one of my favorite songs. Slit Your Guts, infamous one. They still play that one live, I think, at every show.
The first riff in that song is the shit.
Yeah, it's so iconic, dude. It's like you hear that and you're like, let's flip a fucking table over, you know, or like, let's fucking throw a computer through a wall, you know? Heavy shit.
Get in the circle pit, man. Let's get in the circle pit, even though I was always scared of circle pits at real death metal shows like that. Especially when I was a teenager. Dude, I'm fucking scared of that shit now. I don't want to go.
I've always been scared of it.
Back, yeah.
I've always been scared of it, but still.
Thankfully, I've never been hospitalized because I went to a show and got too crazy.
Yeah.
A couple bloody noses here and there that were mostly self-inflicted. Nothing too bad.
Yeah.
There for one of them.
I hear you. Yeah, they're cool though, man.
Wait, were you there? Were you there for the Black Dahlia murder
Yep.
one? Because there was 2 Black Dahlia murder ones.
Oh, there was 2? It was
There
whichever
was
one
at
where
Bottom
like
Lounge and one.
it was the one where we were like kicking it in like the fucking VIP
Yes,
booth
the
with like
bottom-
Richmond.
I was
Let's
at
not
that
talk
show.
about
Yeah.
that one.
Dude, that was awesome.
I was there.
Not
I
your
didn't know. I didn't
nosebleed,
know
but that show was awesome.
I didn't know any of you guys, and I was at that show. Me and my crew were at that show.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Now
Dude,
Bill
that's
has to tell the
awesome.
story.
That was
even though I'm
that was.
embarrassed
I'll tell you
it.
about that tour. That was when Black Dahlia dropped
Nile,
Ritual.
right?
Yeah, it was Black Dahlia, Nile, Skeleton Witch, and Hour of Penance, which was like a fucking killer
Jesus
lineup.
Christ,
Like,
yeah.
that was in my opinion when Skeleton Witch was at their best. Nile, say no more.
Right.
And
yeah,
Hour of
that's
Penance,
awesome.
it was their first time in America, so like
Really?
that was really cool. Yeah, they're an
That's
awesome
cool.
band too. That'd be fun to talk about them on this show. Man, so many good ones.
Right.
But yeah, they did. I remember like that was like one of those shows where I was like, we have to see every band. Like I had to see every band.
I remember I showed up late because I caught Nile and Black
Okay.
Dahlia.
Yeah.
Because at that time, I knew who Our Penance was just because of Flesh God.
Flesh God. Yeah.
Yeah,
They
but I
shared
never really
that
checked them
dude.
out. Yeah, it's like the
That's not in the band.
vocalist,
Yeah. So the
vocalist,
drummer
or-
from man, weird
It's something
lineage between
weird.
those guys.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
gonna go down that rabbit hole
No,
right
you don't
now.
have to.
But,
We can save that for when we
yeah.
talk. I'm sure we'll talk about those bands. But yeah, no, that was a great night. We just like,
I'm surprised you haven't picked a Flesh God record yet.
I don't know, just waiting on it, I guess.
Sure.
Until I run out completely. I actually got inspired to pick something else, but I'm not going to tell you.
Nice. All right.
But yeah, no, that
Ooh.
night we went to fucking Bottom Lounge and it was like the whole our crew, before our crews merged, and
yeah.
I just remember a mutual friend of ours, Tom Richmond, like that dude's the shit. He was like, dude, he's like, just come on back. And like at first, I think security was like, who the fuck are these guys? And Tom's like, no, they're cool. And they're like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
We're all just like hanging up in that little VIP booth,
Okay.
watching the show, and it's awesome.
And that's across from the stage there, right?
Oh, it's like all the way in the back to the left of the sound booth, I guess.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. And no, I just remember we're all in there, we're having a great time, and I like look over and I just see like Nate, like he's headbanging, and all of a sudden he's like leaving the room. And I was like, what the fuck just happened? And they're like, dude, like Nate busted his nose. I was like, what? He's rocking out too hard.
What did you bust your nose on, Nate?
It's so embarrassing. I think it was the bottle I was drinking.
Yeah.
I was drinking a beer in a bottle, leaning over the.
Can you
It's like
just-
an overhang.
Why don't you just put your beer down next time you're doing that, man?
Got to be able to access it quickly, you know?
You
It
sure
was
did.
so-
A little too quickly,
It was
though.
so embarrassing, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, I think at the time most people didn't really realize what happened, but like
Uh-huh.
I was bleeding everywhere. It was bad.
Oh, whoa.
It's like one of 2 or 3 nosebleeds I've had in my entire life, and like it was intense.
Who was playing when
Biohazard
that happened?
I think
That was
was
during Black Dahlia murder
Yeah.
for sure.
Wow. Damn, Nate.
God damn.
That was a shit show,
It was-
and then like Danny got kicked out, but then got back in.
Oh, sounds about right.
Yeah, because he was like,
Wait,
crowd
why is that
surfing.
every show? Every show,
Every show gets
Danny was
kicked out.
that wild card.
He was the
Getting
wild
kicked
card.
out,
He is the
somehow
wild card.
finding his way back in.
Well, I didn't get kicked out.
But it was so
I
funny.
had a
'cause,
friend that
like,
got kicked out at that show for crowd surfing.
Yeah, so I
My
saw
buddy
Danny,
Tim.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it was funny because like he knew the tour manager for Black Dahlia and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's why he was kind of able to like sneak on or whatever.
Yeah.
But then security was like, get him the fuck out. But he literally
Again?
ran all the way around the building through the front. They let him back in because they didn't tell anybody, like, by the way, this guy's like kicked out.
Yeah, don't let him back in.
Ran back in. It was like, went right back to the tour manager. And he's like, what the fuck happened? He's like, they kicked me out. And he's like, oh,
That's
all
so
right.
funny. Poor guy.
So,
Oh
yeah,
man,
poor
I
guy.
miss going to shows with Danny because it would just be like he would roll up to the show with us.
I
but
don't.
you'd think there's like a,
Come on,
a
don't you
huge
like that
chance-
uncertainty that comes with Danny?
Dude, I'll
Yeah,
tell you.
there's a
you
huge
wanna know
chance
the
that he's
worst
not gonna.
experience?
You're not gonna know where he ends up at the end of the night. It
is.
might be,
100%
but
sure.
he'll be fine.
The worst experience I had with going to a show with Danny was me and him. It was just me and him. This was so fucking
What was your first
stupid.
mistake? But go on.
Yeah, I drove us to go see the Contortionist, Fallujah, and Revocation, and Ocean Walker, Max and Alex's old band, at
cool.
at Mojo's in Joliet. And Danny met me at my house. I think I was living in Melrose Park at the time, probably, or Elmwood Park.
Okay.
I might have like no, I think I was definitely in Melrose Park because I was dating that girl Mariella at the time. She met me at the show.
Oh, okay.
To like go, and Danny had a bottle of Perrier sparkling water, which did not have Perrier in it, mind you. And I asked Danny not to fucking drink in my car. So sure enough, he poured a bunch of vodka, this Perrier bottle, and like I knew it from the get go. I was just like, fuck it, he's just being an asshole. And I'm like, I don't want to start something. So like, we're in the car, and that's not, from if anybody who's not familiar with Chicago, I mean, obviously some of our listeners are in the surrounding suburbs, but those who are not. Joliet is a suburb that's probably about an hour out from the city, an hour south, maybe a little more even, depending on
lucky,
traffic.
it's an hour.
Yeah. And so it's like a weekday. I'm sitting in rush hour traffic with Danny drinking Perrier and like giving me all these drunk lectures, just being like,
life lessons, man.
Let me tell you
I hope
about
you wrote some of those
women.
down.
He'll be like, huh?
I hope you wrote some of those down.
No way. No way. I like didn't want to hear it. He was just like,
very
Jason,
knowledgeable.
Let me tell you about women. Let me tell you about how fucked up women are. And it's just like, oh my God. I'm like, come on, please leave me alone. Yeah. And then literally like, I just like when I got to the show, I just lost him. I'm like, all right, see you, man.
He's like a little kid when you like.
Yeah. Well, he was drunk and he walked like, we
gone.
both walked straight through the backstage. So we didn't have to pay
Nice.
to get in because they didn't have.
Oh, dude, he's the
the
king of that,
security's
too.
dog
He's the
shit.
king of getting you in for free.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah,
Whatever
he had
he's
his
got a
ways.
flash to get in. Or like have like a fake laminate. Dude, the
Yeah.
fake laminate days.
Fake
I never
laminates
did
were
that
funny.
shit. But
It's
they
fucked
worked.
up. Yeah. He offered me them all the time. I never took one. I took one as a
Yeah, I was
souvenir
like, dude,
once,
that's
but
so wrong. I feel like you're like betraying so many. I don't know. You're betraying the trust of so many people doing that.
Right.
But I
Well,
guess
he's
if
the
you just
reason
use it
why,
to get
like,
into the show,
Some people get
and you don't
checked
go
real
backstage.
fucking hard with like passes, which is so
I know
annoying.
bands that have gotten fucked over because of
Yeah.
that shit. And it's just like,
Or it's
Thanks,
just like
Danny.
aggravating when you're like trying
Yeah.
to get someone or like, let me see that ID. It's like, dude, come the fuck on. Like,
yeah.
how many assholes are walking around with laminates? Oh yeah,
And
well,
Danny's fake
one of
laminates
them.
did not look good either. Like,
Sometimes it doesn't matter. Some people
I
don't even
know.
like you could just do that maneuver where you just kind of
Yeah,
like
show
look
it,
like
and
you're
they're just like,
flashing
all right.
something and like, all right. And they just let
I
you through.
remember Summer Slaughter 2014 or 15. It was whatever year Morbid Angel was headlining. And like I had won a contest through Decrepit Birth. And I won like free entry to the show and free merch and some shit like that.
You're the king of winning contests, dude.
Yeah.
You've won a few.
I know. What have I?
Pretty sure
I've
won a
known
couple.
that's one of the only ones I know I've won. I don't think I've won any other contests.
Wasn't
Why
there
am I
another one?
asking you guys if I've won?
Right. I thought there was another one you wrote in about like for Decrepit Birth.
That was it.
Oh, that was
it. Yeah.
one.
So it was
Oh,
like
okay.
Decrepit Birth. And yeah, the only reason I won was because like only 2 people entered. It
Right.
was like me and somebody else, but it was basically
Fuck, I
like,
could've won.
oh, share your Decrepit Birth, like share your experience, like the first time you saw Decrepit Birth and like the winner, whoever had the best one. And I had this insane story about it where like I had seen them at this weird fucking bar in Addison. It was like a sports bar and me and,
Araxis, Maya.
no.
Oh,
I remember
okay.
that show. I didn't go. I wanted to go.
Oh, you won
That's
that,
like,
okay.
yeah, this is after that. This was years
Okay.
after that. So this is like when Polarity was about to come out. So it's probably like 2009, early 2010. I was like towards the end of my high school years. And I forget what the bar was even called in Addison, but it was like a tour with like Vader, Decrepit Birth, Augury played, a bunch of Swashbuckle played, Warbringer played. Is that the thrash band? Warbringer? Yeah, they played. It was a really weird tour, but like we just hung out with Bill for like the first 2 hours because we got there like super early. Like we went straight after school. And like we got there so early that nobody was even there to take like money from us for tickets or anything. We were just like,
Oh wow.
yeah, we're here. And yeah, I just wrote this whole story about that and I won that contest. But I remember Danny tagged along because he brought his stupid ass fake passes. And I was just like, whatever, man. Like,
If
okay.
you get caught, I don't know you.
Yeah. And I don't think he did. I don't think he did get caught, honestly. But he showed me the pass and it was like a really shitty
Focus
version of
of
the
his
tour
work.
flyer. And it was just like missized and like not. Yeah, it was just bad.
It's so funny.
Yeah, you know
Yeah.
what's funny is not. I mean, we're going on a few tangents, but
That's
I feel
fine.
like I saw like on Gary Holt's Instagram or something, or maybe somewhere like that, a Slayer backstage pass, like a real one, because he's in the fucking band,
Right.
and it always says like, "Do not ever show this in a photo," because it's
Yeah.
like because so many people just, especially when you're
copy
a
it.
huge band like that,
Yeah.
they're like, "Do not take pictures of this." But it was like from a past tour. It was from like
Yeah, I mean, you could do it
Sure.
after the fact, but yeah, that's like the number one rule with like passes.
But yeah.
Do not take a picture.
And like, I mean, yeah, I feel like they're, whatever. Like, I love Danny. He never really did anything fucked up, but it's just like I said, kind of betraying the trust in a way that I feel like is just not cool.
it's not the right thing to do. And I would,
Like, we're all people in the industry that like take shit seriously, and it's like, yeah, you don't want to fuck.
Yeah,
with
we
that.
know how much that shit sucks. So
I do like that one story. I forgot what band it was, but him and his buddy Joseph, our friend, like went to a show and they like fucked up and like knocked over a bunch of shit, and everybody was like, "Wait a minute, who the fuck are these guys?" And they're like, "Let me see your passes," and they're like, "This is bullshit. Get the fuck out."
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah, you'll have to ask him about it, but I remember it was a pretty funny one.
Yeah.
It was a House of Blues, I think.
Yeah, it was definitely a House of Blues
Yeah.
show because I feel like I was not gonna go because it was sold out or whatever, and I was like, I'm not using a fake pass.
Right,
Dude.
it's
I'm
like,
sorry,
I'm
I'm
not doing
not
that
comfortable.
Yeah.
And then him and Joseph got caught up like really early on because Joseph like fucked up.
Yeah. I remember hearing the story about Danny at that Veil of Maya show at Cobra, and he knocked over all of like Mark's cables.
He unplugged all
Yeah.
the power cables from his board.
Yeah.
It was the
And then
funniest,
he's
and
just
they
like,
know each other too, which is
yeah.
funny. And I just remember I was like standing right there when he did it, and Mark like leaned down and plugged everything back in. He's like, "God damn it, Danny!" Like,
Yeah, he said that.
yeah,
Yeah, it's funny.
yeah, because he knows him, which is
Yeah.
so fucking funny.
Dude, that was like the sickest. That was definitely the sickest Veil of Maya show I've ever seen.
Oh, it was a blast, dude. Because
Yeah.
that was also with Misery Signals.
Yeah, they came over. They
Awesome.
played Bottom Lounge, and they're like, didn't Bill? We opened the show. There
Yeah,
was
we
like
opened.
8 bands on the show. We like played like second or
After-
whatever.
Yep, I
Party
was
show.
under 21, so I could not go.
We could have
And
snuck in.
yeah,
What were
Dude,
they?
Jason,
Misery
I mean,
Signals
you-
was probably still on Controller. They were probably still touring on that album. Fuck, man.
It's awesome.
that band, from what I remember, I'm not as much of a fan as you are. They sounded incredible.
Yeah, they
live.
crushed it.
And think about how many shows you and I have seen at Cobra Lounge.
Yeah,
How questionable the sound can be.
yeah,
It was like perfect. Like I took
Wow.
out my earplugs and I was like, this is insane. This sounds like they're playing a CD at like a loud volume over
wow,
the PA.
Misery
And
Signals?
I feel like,
Mhm.
yeah,
nice.
specifically Misery Signals. Veil of Maya also, I think, sounded pretty fucking good, and it was kind of in that golden era when, Brandon was still the vocalist, but they were like, they had been touring like forever.
Yeah,
Like I think I talked to the guys after the show, and they were like Mark was like, "Oh man, I was so drunk," and I'm like, "Dude, you might have been, but you fucking crushed it. And
Yeah.
it's incredible." Like
nice.
2 shows in one night, too, which is like a crazy thing to think of doing in the middle of a tour. You go and you
Yeah.
play the Bottom Lounge, and you're like, "Fuck it, we're going down the road to Cobra.
Oh
Just
yeah,
bring whatever you can." Like they didn't even. I think they shared a back line. Like
Yeah.
it was very like a minimal setup for that, and they crushed. It was insane. That's
Yeah,
like
that
one of
sounds
the
about
best
right.
Cobra show memories. Sorry, I know you were underage. But
No, it's cool. I would have gone. I
Should've
remember
been
the
there,
I remember
loser.
the tour that was at Bottom Lounge. It was one of those Crush 'Em All
After the
tours that
Burial.
after the Burial and Veil of
'Cause
Maya
those
used to
dudes
do.
were
They-
hanging out at the show, which
Yeah.
is cool.
Well, I remember they were trying to make that, I think, like an annual tour. And it was,
Oh, really?
yeah, but I don't think it ended up happening. But it was Veil of Maya, After the Burial, Within the Ruins, Misery Signals, and somebody else, I think. But yeah, I didn't go. I should have went. But
Next time.
yeah, if that ever happens again. So we'll have to see. I mean, Veil of Maya is probably, they're touring with bands now that are like completely different than that type of stuff.
Yeah, I would think so.
So, but still.
yeah, they're not trying to be like a heavy, crazy metal band. They're trying to like play arenas, dude. I
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah, but good for them. I still got some cool stuff. But anyway, yeah, Cryptopsy.
We gotta
I
put
love
the
that,
kibosh on the Cryptopsy at this point.
Yeah,
I love that
very
the
much
album
so.
ends with a sample from Army of Darkness. That was
Oh
a nice
yeah,
touch.
yeah,
That was
yeah.
great.
Yeah,
when I
it
heard that.
begins.
What's
it
up?
begins with the sample from The Exorcist at the beginning of the record.
Oh
The
yeah,
Exorcist.
yeah.
That
It's cool.
fucking,
And that
crazy
album cover is
sound
so
awesome.
iconic too. The None So Vile
It's
album
been
cover.
ripped off and like reused too, like that same
Mm.
painting
yeah.
or whatever the fuck that is.
It's
Weird.
wild, man. But I mean, it's like, that's like such a death metal album cover to me. It's like this like old English looking painting with Jesus's head on a platter and like, yeah,
I didn't really look at it.
yeah, it's pretty wild. But I remember
it's an oil painting.
I like, what I like, Nate, and I'm sure maybe you've noticed this, but Jamie Josta is a pretty big champion of Cryptopsy.
Yeah, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, and Jamie Jost is Not my favorite vocalist, but I think he's got some
Could be, but go on.
good taste and things like that.
Yeah, definitely. He's big. Like I remember always used to like part of me that had a resurgence with the Cryptopsy like a few years ago was because he would talk about him on his show all the time and how he thought they were so sick. And I'm just like, man, I don't listen to that band enough. And then I did, and I was like, oh, I love this band. Yeah, they're so good, man. They're such a cool band.
That's awesome. Like that's kind of why I like Jamie Josta. Like he comes off a little bit like whatever. He's like a hardcore bro. But he just lives and breathes fucking heavy music. And
and he loves death metal too, man.
Listen to Cryptopsy. Yeah,
death metal and push-ups, dude. Death metal push-ups.
We can talk about Jamie Josta all day, dude.
I know. I know. We don't need to go down that rabbit hole here. Well, we can, but I remember seeing a picture because they did one of the last Warp Tours Hatebreed did. There's a picture of him wearing like a Cryptopsy long sleeve, and I was just with the None So Violet album cover, and I was like, oh yeah, like so sick. Man, if anybody had
that's hard.
Yeah, it is hard.
It's hard.
That shit is hard, man. That shit is hard.
Loud amps to the face.
Oh man, yeah. My favorite episodes
of
yeah. Oh yeah. My favorite episodes of his show were like the ones with Scott Vogel from Terror. Because they talk about how all the fucked up shit that they used to do. Like he tells this one story. I'm not gonna try not to go down the rabbit hole.
He has the best stories. He has great stories.
Yeah, he has amazing stories. But Josta's like clean now. He used to drink and shit, and he's like completely sober. And he was talking about this one show they played in like DC that got them banned from DC for a while, and it was because like
nonstop.
Yeah, it was like essentially he did this show, and Hatebreed does call out sets where it's like. They literally don't plan a set list. They just play whatever. And like
my buddy, the who usually TMs for Soil, Jake.
Yeah.
He was in the military and like, I forgot where he was stationed, but they played near there.
Okay.
And it was a similar situation where they were like, fuck it. What do you guys want? And they just kept playing. Like, and he was like, it was the coolest show ever. And he was like young when they did that too, which is pretty funny.
Yeah. So essentially Jamie Josta was like shit faced for this show and just like made the man play for like 3 hours to the point where like all the stagehands like went home. Like they were just like, fuck this. We're not going to stay around for this show. It's ridiculous. And like, apparently Jamie Josta was so drunk that he was like taking off his shoes and giving them to the crowd. He was giving the crowd money in his wallet. Yeah.
That's
so awesome. I'm sure there's people that were at that show still talking about it.
That's like the funniest shit I've ever heard. That is so funny. Like imagining some dude being that fucked up, like doing that at a show, giving them money. Why? Like it's so stupid.
Well, that's like, I mean, people that were in South America for that Abbott tour will probably like remember that forever. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
No.
Fucking Abath Abbott from Immortal.
Abath.
The last tour that he did before he kind of went to rehab and got sober.
I heard about that.
Was pretty bad. I mean, you can watch. There's probably still videos on YouTube like of him kind of just being so drunk that he doesn't know where he is. And like the band's still trying to put on a show. But yeah, I mean, they had to cancel. It was bad. They literally canceled the rest of the tour. And he had to go to rehab. And like, I think he's doing really well. I think it's a good,
good
the
for
result
him.
Was good. But those fucking videos are rough. Cause you're just like, dude, like how could you exist? How could you be that drunk?
Man, that guy's like a party animal.
Yeah. It's not like you're so drunk, like you're playing shitty and it's like, oh, but you're still getting to the show. It's like, no, he was having like an emotional breakdown in public. At least the one show that I watched, and I was just like, this
that guy's probably seen some shit being one half of Immortal when they were still a band.
Yeah, I mean, I like that. I like his personality. I don't know that much about him.
Yeah, that's like, well, if we did a black metal episode, we could talk about it, but we don't.
Okay, well, are we gonna put the kibosh on Cryptopsy?
Yeah, we probably should. So Cryptopsy, None So Vile. If you haven't heard this record and you're a fan of death metal, you gotta listen to it. Listen to it. What the fuck? And listen to all their other records. But this one is like the big one. At least in my opinion, I think it's like
I would think so.
It's one of those landmark Hall of Fame death metal albums. I
heard the name so many times. This album, like so many times.
Did you like it?
Yo, I liked it a lot.
Yeah,
really? I cracked a smile because it's just like
goofy.
It hits all of those like death metal
tropes
and stuff where I'm just like, yeah, this is it. This is exactly what I was expecting. And it's fun. Yeah.
Yes. I'm glad you liked it, Bill.
Yeah, I'm glad you
liked it. I thought you were
going
to hate it.
I think I've just been in a good mood this week, so it caught me at a good time.
Nice. Good for you, man.
So maybe that's why. But yeah, I did like it. I liked it a lot. Yeah, it was fun.
Hell yeah.
And it's surprising that I didn't listen to this album years ago just because I had band members and friends that were always talking about this album.
Really?
And I just never. I was like, nah, I like my shitty new metal. Sorry, guys. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's different for sure.
Very different. Yeah.
But hell yeah. Well, what
Can I take a break?
Yeah,
I'll
take
take a
a little
break.
pause.
Go for it.
We'll do our sponsor
do our
ratings
ad
now
space
anyway.
right now.
So yeah.
And we're back.
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
Sounds good, man. Take your pee. Ain't gon' pee. I'm glad you're in a good week this mood, man, or in a good mood this week.
I don't know why, but I am.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, I
so fuck, man. Ugh. Yeah.
I'll talk about it
Yeah, we'll wait till he comes.
after the show.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see the sweet cake that Brian
the
Rosie got me? Isn't that
nothing's for
awesome?
no one cake. Yeah, did
So
she make
cool.
it?
Yeah, she made it.
Wow.
Yeah, she always makes cakes and stuff like that.
That was so sick.
It was so cool. Yeah, because I
Yeah.
stopped over there last night, Saturday night, and to hang out with
nice.
them. And we've been playing. It's like almost like a sponsorship section right here. It's like we were playing that game Hunt a Killer. I don't know if you've seen ads for that at all.
Hunt the Killer?
Hunt a Killer.
No.
And it's fun. It's like a subscription based game where they send you. It's like a case file for a murder. It's fake. It's all fictional.
It's like a board game?
Not really. Like you have to solve the murder.
It's not a video game.
No, not at all.
Okay.
And they give you physical stuff. Like for this, it takes place like the murder happened like 1938, right?
Okay.
But you're corresponding with somebody now.
Okay.
And then like the murder takes place in like a theater, and this like theater group, and they it's an unsolved mystery that they're trying to solve now, or you're trying to solve. And so you're just trying, like, it's interesting because like it's like a like you have one goal that you have to do, and then you get another packet of stuff, and then you do that goal. And eventually, I don't know how many there's supposed to be. So in the very first like packet that we got, it was like you're supposed to identify the murder weapon, and that was fun. Like you go through and like there's like codes that you have to break, and like in these letters, and like the first letter here, and like the fourth letter down, like all this crazy shit, weird like puzzles that are kind of like Rosie's really good at. So we're just like, all right, that's your department, and like the actual like police reports and stuff with like everybody. And then this last one, we had to like basically figure out who was not a suspect.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was fun. And then it gives you like a whole nother packet of more random odds and ends from it. So it was a lot of fun.
That's sweet. Yeah.
Yeah. It's something fun to do.
Yeah,
It makes you think, instead of just like watching a movie like we normally do. But
Definitely.
yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Hell yeah.
And I guess the next one's already on the way. So maybe next weekend we'll play it.
Oh yeah. I was chilling at Eddie's and Alyssa's last night. We were watching this like barbecue show on Netflix. It was some, it was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But anyway, we are back with Nate Madden. Thanks for listening to our ad read, guys.
Damn.
Check out Hunt to Killer, guys.
And
this fucking next album, dude. Holy shit.
yeah.
You liked it, huh?
Yes.
Isn't that fun?
Big
That's funny.
time.
I'm
I
surprised
loved
you
it
guys
too.
hadn't listened to it beforehand.
I don't know why.
But yeah, this band John from the album.
John from Stirring of the Noose.
String of the Noose. I found out about him because of Eddie.
I think it's a
from
string
Paris.
in the noose.
Stirring in the News.
That's what I have
Oh,
written
sorry,
down.
of the
Am I
stirring
wrong?
in the-
I might have been.
no in the. You're right.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, so I found out about this band because our friend Eddie Lynn Paris, because he's a huge fan of Dillinger Escape Plan, and specifically Liam Wilson, the bass player of Dillinger, like is a huge influence to Eddie. So, and he's a member of this band, and of course Eddie will follow anything that dude does. And he was like, dude, you got to check it out. Because Eddie always tells me to check out stuff. And I usually never do. And but this is one of them I remember checking out. And I was like, and I was also intrigued because I found out it's got the original vocalist from the Faceless.
Derek Rydquist. Demon Carcass.
D.O.B. on Lamb of God. I wonder if he's still, or not Lamb of God.
Lamb Goat, yeah.
I wonder if he's still on there. You know what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to hit up Tom, see if that dude still fucks around with Lamb Goat, and see if we can get him on here.
That would be great. I mean, I even have a contact I could probably try and find a way to contact him to see if he'd be cool to come on the show.
I feel like we get some credit because Tom is like an old school Lamb Goat dude. Like,
yeah.
He has credibility on that site. Believe it or not.
Absolutely.
So maybe we can use some of his clout to help us out. It'd be kind of funny. But yeah, I checked it out like a while ago. I was like, all right, this is cool, and then never really went back to it. But then since we started doing this, I was like, oh, this would be perfect for it, like a fun. But yeah, I was really surprised you guys hadn't checked it out previously, but I'm glad it was a bit of a surprise for you guys, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'd known about the record from its existence. Like, I remember it being like, oh, supergroup.
Mhm.
But I you know, like Liam from Dillinger, the dude from what's his face? Derek Rydquist from The Faceless, and then their guitar player, I believe, who has played with John Zorn.
Yeah, he's like
before.
his rhythm player.
Yeah. And then this drummer, the drummer was a dude that was from another band, I think, that somebody in Dillinger played with in the past, or a band that Dillinger toured with in the past. Some band I had
Maybe.
never heard of, and they're not like, I don't think they're overtly a metal band, but
Oh, really? I didn't recognize, like, when I looked it up, I didn't recognize the band names that he was associated with.
yeah. This record is fucking insane.
It's cool.
It's fucking nuts, man. I mean, I remembered it when it was coming out, and I was just kind of like, I don't know why. I just didn't like.
Well, when you hear those like super groups, they're mostly miss than hit.
Oh,
You know?
yeah.
And so it's easy to be like, I'm out.
That's exactly why I didn't listen to this whole album before. 100%. I realized it. I was like, I am such an idiot for missing out on such a great record. But you know what? The supergroup culture in underground metal is just almost always bullshit, right?
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
It's like
rough.
bands that are all hype and you're like, well, cool. It's cool that they did this. Like, I don't have a problem with the fact they did this. It's usually just not good. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, think of other supergroups that are actually really good. I mean, the
Can't.
list
and
is
far
not
between.
super
Yeah.
Yeah.
long. You know, and if you don't count any of like the NOLA scene, the list probably gets shorter, right?
Sure.
You know? Well, because I mean, I'm not going to like, you know, the whole Phil Anselmo, Kurt Winstein connection and all those bands.
Oh, like Down
everybody
and shit.
mentions.
Yeah.
I'm saying,
Yeah,
if you take
different.
that out of it, then the supergroup thing is like very much like, I don't know, like a lot of bullshit projects, right? I'm not thinking of one at the moment, like one specifically. But
I'm thinking of Killer Be Killed, that band that was like Greg from Dillinger, Max Cavalera.
That was a
and
rough one.
Troy from Mastodon and shit. Yeah. Very
Who's the
weird.
drummer?
I don't know. There's some guy in that band that I don't recognize from anywhere.
I remember I watched or listened to whatever one they had a music video for, and I was just like, fuck. Like,
Yeah.
damn it. I like these guys, but what are we doing here?
Yeah, it's weird, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I think Liam's projects out of everything that those guys have done post Dillinger, I think his has been the best. Like, he's in another band called Azusa, which is
Yeah.
pretty cool, which
What's
has
that all about?
actually one of the dudes from Eggstall, that band that we were talking about before. It's something that I think is more in the progressive realm.
Okay.
But anyway, this record is a fucking mind fuck, man. A Stirring in the News.
Goes all over the place.
Yeah,
you know?
very progressive and very like psychedelic feeling too.
Mhm.
It's very fucking cool. And I was
well, you know, our friend Eddie, we were just talking about. I actually talked. We were chatting on the phone yesterday, and he told me they labeled themselves as like psychedelic death metal before we did.
we did probably.
Motherfuckers.
We did probably first. Actually, that's what I meant. I think they
Who
did
ons
it after
the
us.
trademark on that? Is
Nobody.
it us or them?
I think it's us.
Who's got the timestamp? They owe us something.
We have a T-shirt. The T-shirt is like a timestamp.
There you go. Yeah.
I guess you could say you made a T-shirt at a different time.
Motherfucker.
Yeah.
It's on the internet, so it's
Right.
timestamped.
I believe that just because of like the kind of person Liam is. Like, he's a very
Yeah.
spiritual-esque kind of guy in like that kind of realm of stuff.
I know. He's like a Burning Man guy.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you noticed, but like I was reading like an interview where they were talking about this band, and one of his big influences is what's the Australian band that I have Portal.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that makes sense. You know, I can see why that
Yeah.
is.
Big time. Big time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
I mean, if I didn't already say it, I fucking just love the shit out of this album. This was like,
What'd you think of
such
the
an
drums?
Awesome surprise.
Oh my God.
Awesome,
They're
right?
amazing.
incredible
And they're
drummer.
like real. Like,
yeah. Incredible.
it sounds so
That
good.
They're
drum solo he
amazing. They
doesn't have-
sound so good. If I could just take like all the tones from this record, and obviously the bass tone wouldn't be the same because Franco's style is completely different from Liam's. He plays, doesn't play with a pick and all that shit. And do like a Roman Ring album, I'd be so fucking pumped. Like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
love the way
Yeah.
it sounds.
yeah.
It's great
It's
sounding. I don't
huge-
know who worked on it.
Huge and
Though.
organic and interesting, and
Probably find out.
yeah, I mean, I can't say enough about this album. Just really, it turned my fucking, it felt like it turned my life around when I listened to it.
Yeah.
A few days ago, I like woke up maybe in kind of a shit mood, and I was out walking around, and just like, I think I was talking to someone on the phone, and then they were like, I'll call you back. And they didn't call me back for a bit. And I was like, fuck, I'm going to put this fucking album on. I got this homework to do. And I was so like, from the intro of Prestige of Emptiness, that's that first song is like, I was fucking hooked.
Yeah.
And you can hear the bass really well, actually, because I knew it was Liam from Dillinger. And I was like, oh, that's a cool bass line. Like I said, I mean, he's got more of a rock style. Like he plays with the pick, he plays with tons of distortion. It actually reminds me, like I think Gordon, who was the original bassist for Roman Reigns, for anybody that doesn't know, heavily influenced by his style and his tone. You know, like especially when it came to kind of like, you know, having that real like attacky, like distorted bass thing in the death metal world.
Yeah.
You know, as opposed to like a more kind of finesse approach where you're playing with your fingers and you're playing like a million notes. It was almost more like a rock bass thing.
Yeah.
I just fucking love it in the intro of that song.
I watched
the album. Once it starts going, it's going.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's the ground running. Which
I
is
really
great.
like the second song, Pining Light. I think that was my favorite. It was a really cool one. I also really like He Come.
Dude, that song rules.
Yeah, that drum solo in it is
So
just
good.
fucking nuts, man.
Dude.
Like
That, yeah, we got to talk about that song. Is it to me, it reminded me of like something maybe Meshuggah would do if they weren't Meshuggah. Like if Meshuggah played in like a little bit higher tuning. I was just like, oh yeah, this is like when I try to incorporate my Meshuggah influences into the death metal world. I want to play shit like this, man. And like I think this album as a whole really just made me feel inspired for our band, for Roman Reigns. I'm like, yeah, like we should be on tour with this band too.
Yeah.
And Gamora headlining.
I know John From started because Liam was saying that they Dillinger toured with some band. What's the guy? I want to find out what that guy's band was called. Let me take a peek. Because the drummer, his name is Eli Litwin. I think. Oh, it was
Eli,
a band called.
Join my band.
It was a band called Knife the Glitter that they toured with at some point, and they realized that they lived really close together, and they were like, "Oh, we should jam sometime."
Cool.
And then this whole project came together. They got in touch with Derek, and then I believe they got in touch. I believe Eli was jamming with the guitar player who was from John Zorn. What's that guy's name? Matt. And yeah, I think they just all decided to kind of come together and do this thing. And
apparently it was like a 4-year long process.
Yeah, it took some time. And apparently this guy was playing with John From before he was doing John Zorn shit. Like they were working on John From before John.
Idea before that. Okay.
Like
cool.
they were working on this stuff before that, and then he got kind of picked up to do that shit with him. At least that's what I read. There's an interview on Metal Injection where that dude, you guys know, what's the guy's name? That's like the drummer from Mika's Murder.
Frank.
Yeah,
Frank
he does an interview with them, and they kind of talk about the whole thing and the whole process, which is really cool. And yeah, you know what really stood out to me was like the band name. Like immediately I was like, what the fuck is that about?
The history of it's interesting.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
I checked it out. I looked it up, and yeah, so
it's still going on too, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's like these indigenous places that used to have U.S. soldiers come and drop off like supplies.
Yeah, because it was essentially like a waypoint.
Yeah.
Between islands and whatnot, and it was these like tribe. Like we're just like oh, these people came from the heavens and they're here to help us.
Like essentially, like apparently back in the day, like I don't remember what war. I don't know about it so well.
Started in It was like I don't know. There was like a couple of things they said. Like it might have started back as early as 1930. Some people said it started in like 1910. It really took off during World War II. So like 1940. Man, I'm bad with those dates.
Well, they would come. I mean, these guys would come and they would bring like these supplies, like dried food and shit like that,
and like housing stuff too.
Yeah, for like these people, and they like started worshiping them as gods because like they didn't know who they were, and like
they were coming from the sky.
Yeah,
it's like mind blowing to them.
John From is what they would call these people, right?
Yeah,
because they probably had the first one said, "Hey, I'm John from America," or "I'm John from North Carolina," or whatever.
Very possible, yeah. And it like I think it also fell into some religion of theirs too, like loosely. And then they broke off from that and became this like John From religion, which is really weird. And it's like its own little thing on these islands.
Yeah, very strange.
Really weird. Really
weird. That's gotta be proof that like religion is a fucking scam.
Oh yeah,
right. How easy it is,
like that right there. That people will just worship some like private in the American army to be like, "Hey, I brought you this shit. I'm John from America," and they're like, start a whole religion about it.
And it's still going on today,
Yeah.
which is crazy.
Yeah, it is. Very wild shit. But
Damn, that makes me like the name even more.
Yeah,
I thought it
right.
was just a clever like pun. Like,
No.
you know, like you're like, oh, I'm John from here. I'm John from here. Whatever. Like, it's like a generic name. No offense to anybody named John. It's obviously very common.
Yeah, take
My
that,
best
John.
bud's his name. My best buds in the world. I have a couple best buds named John.
I got
Yeah.
a couple of
One
Johns
with
in
an
my
H, one without an H.
nice.
Yeah, dude. Like, I just love this record so much. I can't say enough good things about it because, like, from the moment of, okay, so what song did you pick again? Was it Through Sand and Spirit?
Mm-hmm.
think so, yeah.
The first. So I actually did a thing this week that I haven't done before in picking the 3 songs, or like, I guess in 2 songs for the 2 of you to listen to first, like as a preview. I normally don't do that. I normally am like, fuck that. I'm going to listen to this album front to back for the first time, or at least the first half and the second half in 2 sittings or whatever. And I didn't do that this time. And that song just gave me the impression of like, whoa, this is going to be a hard album to listen to because I'm going to equate it with every Faceless album because of the vocals.
Mm.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was about that song, but when I actually started from the beginning, I didn't feel that at all. It felt natural. It felt
Yeah.
Yeah, in the context of it, yeah.
like everything was in place. But yeah, my first impression, I was just like, well, this is weird. It sounds like the Faceless, but it doesn't really at all because the drums sound like 1,000 times better than pretty much any Faceless album, let's be honest. And like, yeah, the riffs are not like that at all. It's not like Faceless riffs, which I do think have their own unique character, even though there's YouTube videos about how the Faceless stole every single one of the riffs from other bands.
Right.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
That's dumb. You can make that about any metal band.
That was a thought that I had when I was like listening to this record too. It was just like, man, like it just sounds to me like what I wish the Faceless was now. You know what I mean? It's just like, man, like by the time, because I listened to this record at the gym this week. Like that's how I did it. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna put it on. Let's see how it goes. But it was like, it was a hard record to listen to at the gym because it's so distracting.
You want to like listen to all the weird shit that's
and I'm just
on.
like, what? I'm like, and I like, there's all these cool parts where I'm like, fuck, what is? It's like a whirlwind, and you know,
I got a question.
Yeah,
sorry. At the gym, did you listen to He Come while you were at the gym?
I did.
Did you come?
Dude, when I listened to that, no, that's not what I was going to ask. Man. There's a lot of really crazy percussion instruments in that song.
I know. Yeah.
And like I was out listening to it, like I was out on a walk and I was outside and I thought there was like shit getting hit like behind me and I would take out a headphone. I was just wondering if you had that same reaction.
No, I didn't have that, but I remember hearing it and just being like, whoa, this is fucking fucking nuts. Cause I mean, there was you know what? There was a point where I heard some weird percussion thing and I remember like turning my head and I was like, what is that? Like this weird clicking sound. And I'm like, is that the song or is that like something happening?
It sounds like they're like recording the sounds of them like hitting things, like taking a hammer and like hitting some metal shit. And like, I love that. I think that's so fucking cool. I want to do that on a record someday. I always say that. I'm like, I just want to record some like sound design shit. Never do it.
You recorded scissors.
Get to do the scissors, yeah.
We didn't actually record the scissors. Sorry to disappoint. Those were samples that we just.
Wah, wah, wah.
There are scissor sounds on the Roman Ring album, which is an idea that I stole from the Paper Chase.
There are sounds of us scissoring on the album.
That's an idea that I also stole from the Paper Chase.
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah. What is the Paper Chase?
So they're not a metal band at all. They're kind of like a rock. You could maybe say noise rock, but I wouldn't even. They're like too poppy for noise rock.
Okay.
John Congleton, who's like a really pretty well established, awesome producer. It was a project that he kind of spearheaded. I got to see him live at B Kitchen once. They have this really sick album that is not death metal. It's the furthest thing from death metal. Called, was it like Now You Are One of Us, or You'll. Fuck, I'm forgetting what the album's called.
It's like the Nails album.
Got it. I know, I'm like confusing the Nails album. Well, just edit that out and.
Nope.
You know. Yeah, but anyway, the Paper Chase is an awesome band.
Cool. Wasn't sure, but that's cool. Yeah, I really like that song.
Not metal.
The song on this Memory Palace, that one was a real doozy. It's like that. It's the third song. It's like 8 or 9 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's just like, fuck, this is like, oh my God, it's a head trip, dude. Fucking nuts.
So who's the drummer? Who's the drummer again?
The guy,
Eli.
His name is Eli Litwin.
So, dude, I have many notes on Memory Palace because that was, I think, my favorite song. And one thing that I found that was super unique about the drum, I love the drums in this album, but there's like this snare drag thing in the intro. They're playing like a clean, chill part. It reminds me of something our band might do. We're going to have like spacey intro. Where like it almost sounds like he's dropping his drumstick on the snare instead of hitting it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like a brush, but he's sort of like dragging it and it's perfectly in time. And I'm like, that is the shit. I've never heard that on a metal record before.
Yeah, this is one of those records where I listened to it and I was just like, I'm gonna need to listen to this about 18 more times to kind of figure out what's happening. Just because of all the crazy sound design shit that's
a lot
on
of nuance on this one.
Yeah, and like the songs are really complex too, you know, like
what was that guitar player like? So obviously like he plays for this like insane jazz dude. Like does he also have, he must have a background like metal in some way.
I don't really know.
You know, like,
well, John Zorn is a sax player. He's in Mr. Bungle, but he also plays a shitload of jazz music. And dude, do you know who recorded this record and like mixed it and stuff? Because I just think it sounds incredible.
No, the staff it's not on the Metal Archives.
I couldn't find it.
I actually ordered a copy of the CD, so I'll know sooner than later.
Put the liner notes in the comments.
Yeah.
So I will be really interesting. I'll be interested to see if Mark Urselli is potentially the engineer. He's a New York guy. He's an engineer who I recently discovered just randomly through listening to the URM podcast, who he's worked with U2.
Wow.
Like, he's that fucking big of a deal, but he also is John Zorn's guy. And so there's a chance that maybe he engineered some of this record, and I'm like, oh, dude, that would explain why it sounds so fucking good.
Yeah.
This guy's making like millions of dollars engineering records for you too, you know.
Yeah, I wonder if that's the case. I don't know. I know
it was hard to find.
They mentioned in that interview on Metal Junction I saw, Derek Ridequist mentions that Michael Keane tracked the vocals.
Well, yeah, because I mean, those guys are in
California dudes.
Right.
So,
and I would imagine the rest of them are around New York because I know John Zorn's a New York City musician. I believe Liam. I mean, Dillinger is in that like Jersey, New York realm.
Yeah.
Even though Ben Wyman lives on a farm now, but like they're like in New York, New Jersey. They're a New Jersey band, but New Jersey is like a giant suburb of New York. I mean, not all of it, but most of it. Let's be realistic.
Yeah. Well, I'll be realistic.
You ever played in New Jersey? Either of you guys?
Yeah, I worked a show in New Jersey.
Never have.
The sound guy looked like Sex Machine from was that Dawn? Oh my God, why am I drawing a blank? Quentin Tarantino vampire film. Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was so funny. It was just like, holy shit, dude, it's Sex Machine.
Oh, sick.
You probably don't even remember or know who
I remember
Well,
I know the movie.
list.
I haven't seen it in a long time though.
Oh, so good.
That's actually Quentin Tarantino just acts in it, right?
The accent, I think
it's a Robert Rodriguez movie. Yeah. What were you saying, Nate? I'm sorry.
No, it's all good, man. I was just gonna say that I played in New Jersey recently at the Meat Locker in Montclair. Recently, I mean like back in December. And that definitely it just perpetuates the whole like suburb of New York vibe.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like the Evanston of New Jersey.
Where you were?
Yeah, Montclair.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, man. This record is like a mind fuck. I still feel like I fully don't even understand the whole thing, but it's cool because it's got like there's a couple songs like that. Memory Palace is like a 9-minute song. I know there's a song towards the end that's over 8 minutes. It's like an 8.5-minute song. That one's pretty cool.
It's I think the song you're thinking of is Assumption of Form.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I got notes about that, about how like, so I brought up He Come, obviously, which is an instrumental track with all the insane percussion and like the Meshuggah vibe to it.
Yeah.
Like so I did a few listens through this album. I did like a front to back one, and then I did a couple where I would start kind of in the middle, and I did one where I started with He Come. And if you just listen to He Come, it's the third to last song on the album, like through the rest of the album, you almost feel like you're listening to a fucking doom band.
Really?
Because you have like the Meshuggah part in He Come, and then Assumption of Form is very, it's very doomy. It's not a fast song at all.
Yeah.
And then you have the last song, which brings the energy up a little bit, which is called, was it Wasting Subtle Body is what I have in my notes. I might have been fucked up when I wrote that, though.
Yeah, it is Wasting Subtle Body. That is the last one.
It's waiting. My handwriting is just really, my handwriting is always bad, but if I drink a couple beers or whatever, and then I handwrite, it's even worse. So.
Yeah. I believe that shit, man. Yeah, it's a cool record, man. I wish I took some more notes on it because I didn't, because I was in the gym when I was listening to it. But like, yeah, it was definitely like, man, just like, it's like one of those records where you listen to it and it's like, God damn it. Like, I want so much more shit to sound like this that doesn't. And like, I don't know. I mean, I don't think John Frum has done like a lot of touring or anything like that. I know they've played live. I've seen videos of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, I mean, that's one of those things where it's just kind of like, this could be one of those like, oh, this is it. This is all you're getting from this band, you know, and then that's kind of it.
Shot,
but like,
yeah.
That's kind of cool. Even if that is the case, like at least we got like a really cool record out of it. Cause like sometimes like those small gems, man, hold over so well where it's just like, wow, like this is such a cool record. Like, I mean, man, I would probably prefer to listen to that over like definitely over the Faceless Now and like probably over Dillinger even. But at least like for me, maybe now. Yeah. But I love Dillinger, of course. But you know, I don't like right off the bat because it's just like, oh, this is so. I mean, granted, this is a completely different style than Dillinger. You know, absolutely. Like way fucking different. That could be a metalcore band, or we could do that on the metalcore show if we wanted to do Dillinger. Cool. I think that would fly, even though it's. Oh
well, yeah. I mean, I think they're the best metalcore band ever. If you're calling them a metalcore band,
yeah. I don't know what I would really call them, but.
I don't know if that's really fair.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a fair assumption either. Yeah. That might not be a good one. Sorry to everybody I made mad just now by saying that.
It's like,
no, I mean, it's kind of under the umbrella of metal and hardcore.
Yeah.
I mean, metalcore has just like, it's just such a loaded term, obviously. But
yes.
It casts a wide shadow.
Man, we need to talk more about this album because this album, Bill, like, you got to tell me, you listen to this album all the time? Are you like
no, I don't listen all the time. I listen to a bunch for this, which is unusual. Usually I listen to an album once and I'm like, all right, we're good to go.
Oh, you listen to this a couple times?
I listened to this like 2.5 times.
Well, what was your favorite song? The one that
I really like He Come.
Oh, you do?
I love that instrumental, but I really like the dude's vocals a lot, so it's hard to like.
Yeah.
Okay. He's great. I love the way he sounds on this.
It's Through Sand and Spirit because that's the song you picked, which is the fourth song. Was that like your go-to song for that band?
No, I really like the opening track a lot too, but I was like, well, I want people to kind of like get past that first, you know, but
and it's another one that's not like extremely long, so that's
it's short and sweet too. Yeah.
That's a cool song.
No,
this album is interesting because, like I said, I mean, I kind of started to nerd out. I don't know where the vinyl, like I'm assuming they do this on vinyl. I don't know where side A and side B are, if they do vinyl or if they even thought about that. But the first half and the second half, kind of digesting them separately, really made me appreciate the band in a different way. Because, you know, when you put on an album and you go like, okay, I'm going to listen to this front to back. Maybe you're distracted. Maybe you're doing something else. You're walking. You're working out. You're working. Whatever it is, the beginning of the record is, I feel like, much more aggressive and much more like in your face, like really interesting, weird death metal. And then, like I said, it sort of morphs into this thing that's like, no, it's almost like a doom record at the end of it.
Yeah.
Not the entire end of it. And I love all the places that they go. I love the way everything sounds. Like I said before, I can't even, I want to listen to this album like every day.
Hell yeah.
I'm that into it. And I definitely listened to it more than any of the others. Not to say that I didn't love Gomorrah, because I did. And I love Cryptopsy, and I loved kind of re-listening to that too. This album changed my week, like I said. It really was just like, fuck yeah. And I also wanted to say, just to throw this in there, I forgot to mention this about the Gomorrah album. You guys are familiar with the Baha'i Temple, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I listened to the first song on the Gomorrah record, and I'm like, okay, I kind of get the vibe of this. Not the first song, Fred Swear Right, the one that you picked.
Yeah.
And I go, I'm going to plan this. I live close enough where I can walk there. So I walked over to the Baha'i Temple. So I'm looking at the Baha'i Temple, which is like this very serene, you know, the Baha'i religion is very spiritual. Like, I don't really care about it, but it's a beautiful building.
I love that place.
It's got like a monolithic quality to it. And I planned this out perfectly. I was like, I'm going to hit my vape pen and I'm going to put on the fucking Gomorrah album, like right as I see this. And it was just amazing. So I'm sorry for that tangent.
That's cool,
kind of
man.
dissonance in the imagery that I created. I was like, this, because I was thinking that it was like super satanic at first, which doesn't really give me that vibe now, but just from looking at the cover, and to just be like stoned and walking around this like serene spiritual environment and listening to like this brutal pummeling shit was just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
No, it's okay, man.
Down from, which I liked way more, but just because I'm speechless. I loved it so much. That's all.
Yeah, I figured you'd like it mainly because like even just from a production standpoint.
Yeah,
it seemed like right up your alley. And then for you, I was just like musically, I was like,
oh yeah, I'll dig it.
This is like up your, Yeah,
it's a cool one, man. It's just so like, man, Flash in the Pan. I don't know why I never heard it. I think Paul really likes this record too.
I mean, not a lot of people really talked about it. Like it kind of showed up. People were like, yeah, it's so and so, and then I was like, all right.
Well, that's how metal records. I mean, that's how metal records are these days, though. It's like so much of it, and there's so much that goes in and out that it's really hard to like capture those moments in time. Like it's weird because it's like you look at stuff and it's like, well, like, will there be another None So Vile? Like, will there be another landmark death metal album? Like, it feels like, while this John From one I think is a fucking sick record, like I don't know if people are remembering it like, like a None So Vile. And granted, it's only been out for 3 years, but still, it's definitely like an interesting thing that's going on there, like it just, it's crazy to think that, because it's like, I mean, this whole wave of, I don't know what kind of death metal you would want to call this, but it's like progressive-y, weird, dissonant type, Gorgutsy influence sort of vibe.
This is what all death metal should be. That's how I feel. I'm like, there should be more bands doing this.
Definitely. Like, that's some of my favorite stuff, but it's like, it's a shame that like a band like this, like that record didn't reach more heights than it did. And like,
I think having somebody like Liam from Dillinger might have been a bit of a detriment to it too. Because if like you're a traditional death metal guy and you're like, guy from Dillinger is doing like death metal, I'm out.
I don't know. I don't think people would say that.
You
don't
think so?
No,
he's a fucking bass player. Like, who's gonna be like, oh man,
that's true. Nobody gives a shit about the bass player.
This guy's gonna ruin a sick death metal album with his bass playing. He's gonna
maybe
just
with
like
his
play
writing,
too many notes.
I mean, I remember seeing that Derek Ridequest was doing it, and I was like, oh, this is probably cool. Like, immediately off the bat. Because I'm like, his vocals are great on this too. And he does like some weird vocal shit on this. Like,
he does a little bit more than he's ever done before.
Yeah, like his voice is cracking and stuff, and it just sounds super weird.
What song it is where you can like hear him breathing in, like not wheezing, but you can hear him like taking his breaths like before he's hitting those notes. I was like, that's awesome. Yeah, I love it.
What were you gonna say, Nate?
Oh, damn it. I don't know if I have written down which song it is. It might actually be in Memory Palace. There's like this moment in that song vocally that he has, like you said, like his voice almost cracks.
Yeah.
He says a word like scour or some brutal sounding word. And it's not a low, like he's mainly like that like chesty low death metal thing. And he does like a weird high thing. And man, it bums me out that like, okay, that guy was in the Faceless for a couple records.
Yep.
Faceless is obviously a dysfunctional band to be in. You just look at their history, like, and how many people have been in that band. Like, I wish this band would have been more of a full-time thing, or that he was the lead vocalist for another death metal band. It was just like, fuck the drama and the Faceless. I'm just doing this other thing. And I know it's hard to make a life doing death metal. I don't know anything about the guy personally, but he's fucking awesome, And I think that I was never really that, honestly, into the vocals of the Faceless when he was the vocalist. I was listening to it for the guitar playing.
His vocals.
Yeah, I could kind of give or take the vocals, honestly, at the time. I was just like, the guitar playing is amazing. Like, because it's this kind of fusion meets tech death. And,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
For better, for worse, unfortunately for the Faceless, mostly for worse, like, it's a cool vision for metal. It's like, it actually is progressive death metal, as lame as that is to kind of say or whatever.
Yeah. It really is progressive death metal. And like I said, like, I kind of wish the Faceless was this band, like I wish this is what that like could have gone to, because it's just like, it reminds me of like such a mature take on that type of music, almost like a mature extension of it. But like, Not that I'm trying to dog on that band. That band doesn't need any more dogging than they already get from people.
Sure
like, I'm not here to do that, and I'm not here to discredit to the people that like their new stuff, and I even like some of their new stuff too. But yeah, it's.
Hey, I'm waiting for the Faceless comeback record. I'm waiting for Michael Keane to just knock it out of the park and like change the metal world when he gets his fucking life figured out.
But
I still root for it.
You know, on that last album they did, Derek does a couple songs.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about
he does
that.
vocals on a couple songs, and it's kind of like listening to that, and then in comparison to this, it's like, yeah, this is still like leagues in it, but it's so different too. You know what I mean? It is very different, and just so cool. It's just so cool. It's like, all right, here's a bunch of dudes that are like gonna put out a record.
They're amazing at their instruments.
Yeah, and then it's just like, whoa, this is fucking brilliant shit. Like, and I believe this was on Relapse Records. I think they put it out.
Okay, cool.
Which is, you know, I know Dillinger did a record or two on Relapse. Faceless, obviously not, but yeah, it's just it's curious. It's very interesting to see. Like, you know, I wonder how. I don't know. It's just like I wonder, like, because the artwork's really cool. Like, you know, and like, man, I'm trying to find some merch. I couldn't really find any, but I definitely am gonna look for a shirt and see if I could grab one because they're so.
Dude, grab me one. Grab me one if you find it. I'll pay you because this band's the shit.
I'll take a look, man. We'll wear, but we have to wear them on the same day, every time.
Totally.
Okay.
We got each other's number. We can just text each other and be like, "Hey, I'm gonna wear this one today."
Yeah. All right. Cool. We'll make it work. But yeah, I will definitely keep a lookout for that. But yeah, they it's like I said, it's one of those I think flash in the pan records where it's just like, wow, this is like a really cool thing that I feel like didn't get a lot of love at the time. At least maybe it did, but it was so under my radar.
Curious what else came out around the same time.
It was 2017, so it's not that long ago. It was only 3 years ago. So, I mean, I don't remember. And these days, it's like I'm finally hitting that age where it's like I'm not on top of every metal release anymore, and I like barely even try. But you know, it's cool. I almost, like Nate was saying, he almost picked Imperial Triumphant for this episode, and I almost did too, but I'm kind of glad that we didn't because I feel like it would have, you know, because that's another band that I would compare to this, like this style, like stylistically at least a little bit. So I'm glad that we I think it was a well-rounded one today to make this like John Frum was, to me, this was like the highlight record for me. I've heard None So Vile before. I had heard obviously my pick Gomorrah before, but this was the one that I hadn't heard, and I was like, oh, Bill's picking this. And I remember that you liked this band. Like, I remember you talking about him, and I was just kind of like, no, you know, like, I'll check it out, like, eventually, and then never did. And then, like, yeah, I'm glad you did.
I wouldn't trust me either.
Yeah, I'm glad you did. I'm surprised you like it, man, because it's just so weird.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and it's really not your type of stuff. But there's, like, also a lot of shit that's just, like, heavy on it, too. Where it's just
yeah, they hit those sweet moments for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I have a lot of respect for, like, Liam and Derek, and so I'm like, all right, I'm on board like right away just from that alone. But then
it's a cool combination of guys awesome. Too, you know, it's like, oh, a dude from Dillinger and the dude from the Faceless, like
never ever would have thought those two would do something together,
and it's cool, and it's cool that they did like a death metal record, like fuck yeah, you know, like
I do that,
it's awesome. I love it when bands do shit like that where it's like, oh, we're gonna do like death metal, and it's like, oh yeah, like that's sick,
right?
Hey, can I say something about that real quick, because I think that's part of the reason why I'm soured on supergroups in metal too, is it's usually like some really awesome musicians and good bands that are like, oh, we're gonna make like a rock album now, you know?
Yeah, like, oh, didn't want to hear that.
Oh, I know.
Dance pop, like, I mean,
trying to do a more commercial thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it's like Greg and Max Cavalera and Mastodon thing, you know, like,
oh, the Killer Be Killed.
That's what that was, you know. That was like,
I never even listened to it. I don't think
it's very like rock popish kind of, you know, still heavy, but
yeah, they have a new album coming out. I just saw. Yeah,
it's like we're a super group of guys from the tech death scene. We're gonna make a stoner rock album. It's like, okay, cool.
Yeah, great.
Try to play slow.
Yeah, didn't ask for that, but it's cool, man. I feel like this scratches a lot of like itches for people or an album like this. And if you guys are listening and you haven't heard this record and you're into that type of shit, like you gotta do yourself a fucking service and check this shit out, man. It's awesome.
If you're a drummer, you gotta check it out.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The drums are
so
fucking
great.
wild.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, dude is an incredible player. And a lot of the time, like I wasn't even paying attention to the blast beats. I was just paying attention to like all the other shit he's doing.
Shit.
Yeah. It's like, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, the drumming on this album is it's pretty perfect for it. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't really ask for anything more. Like that's why I said I want to figure out who recorded it. And I was saying we should go to Montreal and record it. Was it the Grid Studio?
Yeah.
We should actually really find out who recorded this album.
Do with it.
Do it
Or
then.
that.
We were psychedelic death metal first.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also because I feel like it was probably somebody like really heavy, or they probably did it in some studio that was super awesome. I
Yeah.
could be completely wrong. I mean,
Do
but
you,
obviously it's a mystery.
what's your shirt size?
Me?
Yeah. If I
I
find
think
one.
now I'm comfortably rocking a medium.
He's a medium now.
I am
All
now
right.
comfortably rocking a medium.
But sometimes they get a little small. Sometimes
Yeah.
I've been doing pretty well in this isolation period of like not getting super fat, thankfully. But
Good for you, man.
I can still wear a medium and be okay.
Well, hell yeah. Well, sweet.
Shall we?
Yeah, I think I don't
That was a
really
good
have,
one.
I
That was
don't
a
think
good
I really have
episode.
much else to say about this album in particular. But yeah, I think these were all really solid picks. I think it was a fun, well-rounded week,
It was a fun listen.
Yeah.
From all of them. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, you liked them all. That's a first. Yeah, you actually didn't say you hated any of these, so that's pretty. I thought you would for sure hate Cryptopsy.
Like I said, I think it caught me at a good time for whatever
Yeah.
reason. And I don't know. It just they were exactly what I expected, and it was a good thing.
Yeah,
Like going into it, like I was like, all right, I know I got the idea of what this band was about. And I heard it, I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's it. This is
Yeah.
awesome. Like
Sick.
that's what it's supposed to be.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
fuck yeah.
I'm really happy that I carried the torch for the more, obviously you don't think of Cryptopsy, you don't think of None So Vile as old school death metal, which is part of the genius of it. It still
Yeah.
kind of holds up, honestly. I mean, like I said, that part in Phobophile and on None So Live, like you hear it, you're like, that's insane. If I was at this show,
Yeah.
I'd be like, my head would fucking explode. So they're speeding it up. They're speeding it up faster. But yeah, like I love the records that you guys both choose. I love Gomorrah. John Frum is like one of my favorite experimental. I'm going to call them experimental death metal.
There you go. That's
Because
a
I
good
feel
one.
like psychedelic. We should own that term.
That's
Maybe
ours,
if we
yeah.
don't, we at least own the T-shirts.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
But in terms of experimental death metal, just like so good. I wish they were just a band. Maybe they will be in the future. Maybe
Yeah.
Who knows with the
stars will
whole
align.
quarantine? Maybe they'll do something else. Like
John
obviously
Frum?
they got time. Like
Yeah.
who knows? I don't know anything
That would be cool.
post this album, what's going on, but it'd be cool if
Yeah, that would
they
be awesome.
pumped out another one.
Yeah, I would listen to it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Well, sweet. Nate, thank you for coming on the show.
Dude, it was absolutely my pleasure. Like I said, this week, you guys chose incredible albums. Thank you for bringing great death metal into my life, and hopefully it transfers over into like 2 or 3 other people that listen and or watch or whatever.
Hell yeah.
I got nothing to plug, because we're living in through the COVID pandemic.
That's fine.
Plug these records. Just listen to these records. They
Mhm.
exist. They're cool.
How about you?
Same shit. Check
Yeah.
out Roman Ring and Something Is Waiting. Still got that cover out there, the single that we did.
Yeah,
That's been good. A lot of great reactions from that.
that's awesome.
Yeah. And on multiple levels, like people like the cover a lot, and then people like the way it sounds. I'm like,
Oh,
I
fuck
did
yeah, there
something
you go.
good. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
dude, you did a
rewarding.
fucking you did a fucking phenomenal job.
Awesome. Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah. Came out of my mixing and mastering retirement for a while.
Hell
and,
yeah.
I think I've gotten better. Who knows? Yeah. It's all subjective, but
Yeah.
it's been pretty positive from everybody. So it's been cool.
Okay.
By you.
You know what? I would just like to plug and shout out to all of my friends, man. I've been fucking going through some shit this week that's been pretty difficult. I'm not going to air it on here, obviously.
Fair enough.
But I just want to say that there's been a lot of people that have reached out to me and have offered to spend time with me. And I love you guys,
Nice. Fuck yeah.
both of you guys too,
Now you don't have to say it because we're right here.
Well,
It's
no,
fine.
but still,
Yeah,
it's just
okay.
like, I can reach out to you guys if shit happens. And, I don't know. It's
Please
just,
don't, but it's cool. Yeah, you can.
yeah, I just appreciate it. Everybody that's taken their time to see how I've been and hit me up and shit. It's really nice. And I love you guys and I appreciate all of you. And yeah, just thanks for keeping me in your thoughts like you have been. It means a lot. And yeah, love you guys.
Nice.
Yeah.
That was a nice sentiment.
Yeah.
Love you too, Jason.
Yeah, I love you too, man.
I think you're all right.
Okay, I'll take it.
Yeah, good enough.
Yeah. Yeah,
Cool.
and that's pretty much it. So next week, we don't have a guest yet, but we will figure it
Yeah,
out.
I'll
I'm
figure
sure.
it out. Get somebody cool.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll come back. Just let me know.
All right.
Just have you come back. We just won't talk about death metal.
Well, all right, man.
All right. See everybody.
Yeah, thanks for listening,
next
guys.
week.
Yeah. Yes, we will.
Bye.
Bye. Sure. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to this edition of Death Metal episode with us, featuring Gamora, Jean Frum, and Cryptopsy. We hope you checked out the records and you found something cool that you liked. If you're listening to this, please like, subscribe, follow us everywhere, everything. Leave a comment. Talk shit to me. Don't talk shit to me. Please don't talk shit to me. I've had enough of it for a while. So, yeah. Hit me up. Hit Bill up. Hit Nate up. We're all around. And yeah, thanks for listening, guys.